which we have been keeping track of very closely. There are the facts on the ground. There is the diplomacy, public diplomacy, that is being conducted via Truth Social and press release and press pools and Trump statements. And the way that I like to think about it is that right now we are in the period of the indefinite ceasefire. So we just got out of the various deadlines for this major attack on Iran's civilian infrastructure that started, I believe, the week before Easter and took place basically throughout the entire month of April. And ever since, I believe it's 2 weeks ago from Tuesday, 2 days ago, we have been in the period of the indefinite ceasefire. And what you could call this is that we are clearly slowly backing away from the conflict. We've been in a ceasefire now for, I believe, a little bit over 4 weeks. And there is no timetable, no deadline, no ultimatum for military action to begin again. At least there's not a hard deadline. And so it seems that the Trump administration is trying to stall and buy time to soften the blow as we effectively withdraw from the conflict unilaterally without any kind of strategic or tactical victory or even any kind of change in the tempo or dynamic in the conflict. And so the big development today is that it seems there is new tension in the Persian Gulf, which is going to upset this process. Like I said, we are 2 weeks into the indefinite ceasefire. That is an extension off of the original 2-week ceasefire. And what happened today is that after the United States enforced its blockade against an Iranian tanker yesterday, so the U.S. Navy fired on an Iranian commercial vessel yesterday, today Iranian speedboats tried to attack a U.S. destroyer in the Persian Gulf. The U.S. destroyers had to retreat from the Strait of Hormuz, and after their retreat, there was a major attack on some of the Iranian islands and on the Iranian coastline, for example, at Bandar al-Abbas, which is one of their port cities. So it's sort of a tit-for-tat exchange. As you know, Iran has closed the strait with their blockade. We have closed the strait on the other side in the Indian Ocean with the blockade of our own. Iran has closed the strait with the threat of using drones and missile strikes against shipping, and we have blockaded the strait by threatening attacks on Iranian commercial shipping with our own navy. So an Iranian commercial vessel tried to go through the strait. We enforced the blockade by attacking it. Iran retaliated against our destroyers, and then we counterattacked by bombing their mainland and their islands. So if you're following, it's a tit for tat, and then back again. Trump administration says this is not the end of the ceasefire, even though that is what Iran is saying. Iran is calling this a violation of the ceasefire agreement, and it's not clear whether that means we're going to resume hostilities. But Washington says that this was a love tap, which is kind of funny. That's how Trump characterized it today. He said that the strike on Iran's mainlands and islands were simply a love tap, and that the ceasefire is still in place. Now here's the big picture. The same day that all of this went down, Tehran and Washington reviewed a 2-page proposal to end the conflict. And the proposal says that the United States will end its blockade, Iran will open the strait to commercial shipping, hostilities will end, and there will be a 30-day period where the U.S. and Iran will try to work out a comprehensive agreement. Have we heard this before? I mean, this is kind of the stuff we've been talking about from the very beginning. And the sticking point in all of this, as it has been throughout this entire process over the past 2.5 months, and going back to Rising Lion and Midnight Hammer last year, and even before that, the sticking point in this entire thing is the centrifuges, whether Iran will commit to zero enrichment or an enrichment moratorium. And so Iran wants to discuss that issue another day, and in the meantime open up the strait, and it seems that the United States is insistent that this be resolved at some point during this peace process, either now or during this 30-day period where there's going to be a ceasefire. Because if the United States doesn't achieve that, then we will have achieved nothing. And if we achieve nothing in this conflict, then Iran reestablishes deterrence. There is a much higher cost of entry to re-engage Iran in a war. And almost certainly, we're kicking the can down the road where we're going to have to confront them all over again over exactly this issue. So there's clearly a push. There's an impulse in the United States. We want to get out of this. We want to walk away from it. We're slowly backing out, slowly backing away. At the same time, we just can't quit because this nuclear issue is unresolved. And the Iranians are absolutely defiant. So we'll talk about all that. We're going to get into it. We're also going to talk about the tariff ruling if we have time. Man, it just gets better and better. So you might remember that last year the Trump administration imposed tariffs on every country in the world. Almost a year ago to the day, Liberation Day, I believe was April 2nd, 2025, Trump announced basically a global minimum average tariff of about 10-15% on every country in the whole world. And he did this under this emergency provision that as of February has been overruled by the Supreme Court. You might remember that in February, the Supreme Court overturned all of these emergency tariffs, the ones from Liberation Day, the ones that were being used effectively for diplomacy against Canada, Europe, China, other countries. And so all the tariffs were rescinded,
are you busy?
and the Trump
There's been a
administration
development with
has
the
to give a
attempted
refund
buyout, and we may
in the
need your
amount of
help.
almost $170
Please swing by
billion.
my office as soon.
Well, after that ruling was made in February, Trump administration invokes a new law, Section 122, to impose a minimum 10% tariff on almost every country that had tariffs under that emergency provision. So Trump basically said if the Supreme Court is invalidating the old tariffs, we've got another law, we've got another legal provision lined up to reimpose the same tariffs in the same amount against the same countries. Well, spoiler alert, those tariffs under Section 122 have just been overruled by the federal court. And so a panel of federal judges have reviewed Section 122 10% minimum tariff, and they have found that Trump improperly applied that law. And we're not going to get into the specifics. It's really not that important. But now those tariffs are being overturned as well and refunded. So the original tariffs are gone and refunded, and now the replacement tariffs are also gone and also refunded. So as of right now, we effectively have no tariffs. Year and a half into the Trump administration, we're going to lose the midterms, and there's still no tariffs. And what I want to point out about this, if we don't have time to get to it tonight, is that this characterizes everything the administration has done. They're not building a border wall, they're putting the military on the border. They're not going to pass a new tariff schedule through Congress. They're going to abuse and misuse emergency powers for tariffs that we're going to have to refund anyway. We're not going to change the law and make it so that the federal debt ceiling can't be lifted any further, or cutting a certain amount of spending for every new dollar that's spent. No, we're going to do DOGE, and we're going to bring in all these people and try to find waste, fraud, and abuse in the last 3 months, and none of them were even hired through the proper channels. What do all of these things have in common? What they all have in common is that instead of Trump using his political capital to actually make lasting change, governing effectively, going through the legislature, building infrastructure that cannot be torn down, instead of building a legacy that is actually lasting, using Congress, using your political capital to actually achieve meaningful reforms that are going to last for decades or for a century, instead you have all this ad hoc garbage where they're prioritizing speed, they're prioritizing flexibility, they're lazy, arguably it's just incompetence, and they're doing a lot of things, but at the end of 4 years, none of it is going to last. At the end of all of this, if a Democrat wins in 28, they're going to take the military away from the border, and the border's going to be open again. Without a tariff schedule, a Democrat's going to come in, they're going to lift all the tariffs. No more tariffs. without any
Thanks, buddy.
Without putting it into the law that you're cutting the debt or the deficit, you're going to get another president, Republican or Democrat, and they're going to spend $1.5 trillion on the military like Trump wants to. They're going to run up. You're going to have another $7-8 trillion federal expenditure for the year. And the debt is going to keep going up and up. I think we're at 130% debt to GDP. It's just going to keep going higher. It's the same story with every issue. And this is why I say, we're going to get into this once again a little bit tonight. This is why I say, the only thing that is really going to help anything is we absolutely have to have a powerful executive come to power in this country. It could have been Trump. Trump could have done it. He blew it again. I know it's crushing. I know it's sad. I know a lot of people don't like to admit this. But Trump really had an opportunity in 17. He really got another opportunity in 25. He could have been that guy. And arguably, there's very little that would have stopped him. There's very little that would have stood in the way. Look at how quickly and decisively he was able to move in those first few months in 2025. Left was disorganized. We had a unified government. We had both chambers of Congress, the White House, the Supreme Court. We really could have done it, but we just had the wrong guy.
Oh, fuck,
We had
man.
the wrong guy. We had the wrong people with the wrong plan and the wrong agenda, and now we blew it, and none of this is going to come to fruition. We're running out the clock. We're running out of time. And in 28, it's going to be over. And so this is why I say it's really as simple as we need somebody in 28. And I'm not joking. It's not hyperbole. It's not an exaggeration. It can be done. We really just need a Caesar-like figure, a tyrannical figure that is going to, as a master of governance, that is just going to make some structural, systemic changes to how the government works. We need to build a border wall. We need an immigration moratorium. We need some kind of spending moratorium. We need to rework entitlements. You need to have a tariff schedule. Do you know what a tariff schedule is? It means we're going to take a look at every import and export coming into and out of the United States, and we're going to have technocrats, experts, assign a tax. Based on that sector, based on that individual good, we're going to bring in the industry experts. The United States used to do this. The last tariff schedule, I believe, was passed in the late 1920s, I think around the time of the Smoot-Hawley tariff. We can do these things. It can be done. We can have a powerful executive with technocratic experts, and we can put the country back on the right footing. But we need a radical departure from the past. We need a radical break. And I think that's the only thing that can do it. Otherwise, it's going to be a very slow and painful slide into calamity, into an absolute catastrophe. So anyway, like I said, if we have time, we'll get into the tariffs. I don't know that we will, though. But if we do, we'll talk about it. Before we get into the news, I want to remind you to smash the follow button on Rumble, smash the like button, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the show. Remember to check out our merch store at Fuentes.store. Get our spring and summer collection. A lot of nice stuff. We have the white America First hat. We got the shorts. People are loving the shorts. And we have a bunch of other stuff. I don't really feel like showing it. But check it out, Fuentes.store. And if you want to support the show even more than you already are, remember to go to AmericaFirst.plus. $15 a month to become a Plus subscriber. You get access to every episode of the show, every debate, every commentary stream, every gaming stream, every collaboration. It's all there. And we have an RSS feed, MP3 format, MP3 download. So I know some people like to download the show. They like to watch it on their commute to work or listen to it. It's a good option. $100 a month to get access to the Telegram group chat with me, the $100 a month club, and I'm in there. I was in there all day yesterday, all day today, hanging out, talking with you guys about everything and anything, dropping voice messages, bonus content, giving you really the inside baseball. And honestly, today is one of those days when you really get the value. And really this whole week, because there's been a lot of drama, there's been a lot
Jesus
going
Christ.
on. And so, like, this week is the week you want to be in the $100 a month club, because I don't really talk that much about the drama on the timeline. If you go on the timeline, I'm all about the business. I'm talking about our mission, which is to get the Democrats elected to Congress. I'm talking about the mission. I'm responding to edits of myself. On Telegram, I'm posting funny stuff. But if you really want the inside baseball, if you want the drama, you want the dirt, you want to talk shop, I'm in there. That's where to go, AmericaFirst.plus. Okay, so with that out of the way, we're going to get into it. And look, once again, we're going to get back into this. Before we even get into Iran and everything else, we're going to procrastinate a little bit more. So, I don't really know what is going on. I'm a little confused. Do I have a karmic debt? Like, what is going on? Like, seriously, did Palantir make the call? What is happening here? Because it's like for the past 2 weeks, I have been under this coordinated attack. Think about it. All of a sudden, Jonathan Greenblatt goes on TV and says he's going to get every Kuiper clipping account banned from Instagram. The Atlantic does a huge hit piece about how all clips need to be banned on Instagram. The Canadian broadcasting company, State Media, shuts down Entropy, which is how I make the super chats. They literally fly out to Asia and they do a big hit piece on my super chat platform. Washington Post does a giant, like, 5,000 word hit piece on the super chats, invoking Christine from Ohio, talking trash about the show, all this other stuff. Then they do this skin suit conference this past weekend, where they bring in all the hosts and all the turd worldness, mudslimes, left-wing filth, haters, e-girls, whatever. And then, I don't know, today it's just like, oh, everybody's attacking me today. And as I see all this stuff, and I'm like, wow, they really don't want people to vote Democrat. Is that what it is? Think about it. I really didn't even think that was the biggest taboo. There's some red lines you just can't cross, I guess. Lately, you can attack Jews all day long. That's totally in fashion. You can attack Israel. You can be racist. People don't even bat an eye when I say the N-word. Nobody even cares. When you start to say, I'm off the Republican plantation, I'm voting Democrat, and everybody loses their minds. Why? Because all that other stuff is according to their plan. Nick Fuentes is anti-Semitic, says the N-word. The Goyim are waking up. You know, that's all part of the plan. Nobody freaks out because all of that is predictable. All of that is a part of the plan. But you know, for the past 4 years, we've all been saying, hey, Republicans are not doing anything they promised to do. They're not deporting the illegals. They're not keeping us out of the war. They're giving Israel tens of billions of dollars. And the Republicans say, well, what are you going to do about it? Huh?
Screen. Lawmakers are going to be asked to spend potentially $1 billion on doing the Trump ballroom. Questions about if that can get through Congress. But in a midterm year where voters say it's all about affordability and they feel the White House has lost the thread on the economy, it's a fair question to ask. Why is this the focus against the backdrop of that, plus the Iran war? It's the question we'll go into the weekend with, but that was way too early for this Friday morning. Morning Joe starts right now.
As Mother's saying, get this, I saw that Americans are expected to spend a record $38 billion. Yeah, $38 billion. And if you combine that with what's spent on Father's Day, that's $38 billion.
All right, Jimmy Fallon helping us all remember that Mother's Day is this Sunday, and we have a lot to get to on this Friday morning. President Trump claims the ceasefire is still holding despite U.S. and Iranian forces exchanging fire yesterday. Meanwhile, the Washington Post has new reporting that Iran is in much better shape than the Trump administration is publicly saying, with intelligence assessments that the country could sustain the conflict for months. Also ahead, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche is saying that he doesn't see the problem if ICE agents patrolled polling places this fall. We'll play for you those comments. And we'll show you how Republicans were talking about gas prices during the Biden administration when the price at the pump was $1 less than what Americans are paying right now. With us, we have the co-host of our 9 a.m. hour, staff writer at The Atlantic, Jonathan Lemire. MS Now national affairs analyst John Heilman. He's partner and chief political columnist at Puck. Editor at The Insider, Michael Weiss, and defense editor at The Economist, Shashank Joshi. Good to have you all on board with us on this Friday morning. Joe, where do we begin?
Well, I'm very proud. I wanted to show Lemire what I've done. Do you have your iPad with you?
Me?
Where you
The
have
bunny?
Where you have the bunnies on the back? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's so cute. And so she drew that, so she holds it up. And I was so inspired by that John Lemire that I decided to do my own sketch on the back of my own iPad. And I want to show it to you right now. I think it's a pretty good likeness, actually. Yeah, right.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
I was wondering what was going on here.
Yeah.
One of our most favorite
better.
photographs, an iconic image
Yeah, there you go.
that inspires us all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it inspires us all, and we of course, Mika will tell you that we actually have it up in our family room. We have the picture, and then there are 2 candles, and sort of an altar of sorts for Red Sox glory
There's a lot of
pass. You know?
Well, sadly, not to bring up the COVID pandemic, but when we were all doing the show from home, viewers will remember.
Yeah.
That was the one image I had up behind me for years. Was just that picture. I showed you last night, Joe. That's part of the Lemire family crest. Jason Varitek punching out Therese in the face. One of those sort of generations from now, centuries from now, when we look back upon sort of the pinnacle of American, maybe even Western civilization, that will be one of the first images we all see.
Well, I do think, and Beecham is already writing a story, writing a book, sure to be a Pulitzer Prize winning book that talks about the American century, the decline and fall of the American century, and that was the peak of it. That was the apex of the American century. Speaking of Pulitzers, I saw our own Pablo Torre yesterday, and a clip of him talking to the New York Times newsroom. Basically thanking them, and he said he started it. I was thinking, okay, now it's probably going to be nervous. He said, "Ladies and gentlemen of the Galactic Empire Senate, I come to you as a low." He did his best Jar Jar Binks, but just an incredible award for Pablo and his entire team.
Okay, great. We're going to have Pablo a little bit later.
Kind of blew that off. You should say, that was great. Pablo won the Pulitzer Prize. I mean,
that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Give him another
Yes.
Okay.
So that's very nice. I love Pablo. Very good news for Pablo. Joe, do you know what a love tap is?
Oh. No, I don't. It's very, very cold around the house. That's a horrible turn. Well, I will tell you this, sweetheart. I love taps many things, and you often give me love taps, but I have never ever heard of missiles being fired at boats as a quote love tap. I will say though, if you
Jesus Christ.
To say that when U.S. ships got attacked and you struck back those love taps, that would suggest somebody is desperate and looking very weak, just praying to God that the Revolutionary Guard will make peace with him. That's my take on the love tap.
Our top story this morning, new take on the love tap. President Trump is insisting the ceasefire between the United States and Iran is still intact, even as the two sides are firing at each other. U.S. Central Command announced yesterday that Iranian forces launched multiple missiles, drones, and small boats at U.S. warships. Transiting the Strait of Hormuz, adding that no ships were struck. CENTCOM says the U.S. military responded by eliminating inbound threats and targeting Iranian military sites responsible for the attacks. CENTCOM called the Iranian fire unprovoked, while Iran says it was in retaliation for U.S. violations of the tenuous truce and claimed significant damage to U.S. ships. When asked by ABC News about the U.S. strikes, President Trump said, quote, "It's just a love tap." He delivered a similar message to reporters in Washington last night.
After these strikes, is the ceasefire with Iran still on?
Yeah, it is. He said they trifled with us today. We blew them away. They trifled. I call that a trifle. I'll let you know when there's no ceasefire. You won't have to know. If there's no ceasefire, you're not going to have to know. You're just going to have to look at one big blow coming out of Iran. And they better sign their agreement fast. The talks are going very well, but they have to understand if it doesn't get signed, they're going to have a lot of pain. They're going to have a lot of pain.
I mean, how many times has he threatened them with a lot of pain? And then I must say, John Lemire, he just keeps backing down. They can do whatever they want to do, and he just keeps backing down, and he's done it again. And, you know, let me just read this. And it once again shows the disconnect between our allies, no, not in Europe, but in the Gulf region, and the White House. The United Arab Emirates Defense Ministry said on Friday morning, today is Friday morning, that its air defense systems were intercepting missiles and drone attacks from Iran. And, of course, those attacks have continued over the past 3 days. They are attacking the UAE. They're attacking our other allies in the region. And also the news that the Saudis were so angry at, the president moving forward with a plan to move ships through the strait and move away from the blockade, that they actually said you can't use Saudi airspace anymore to launch your attacks. I mean, we've got a president who is so desperate to end this war on whatever terms the Iranians want to end it on. It bears repeating, he's going to leave a nuclear Iran. We found out yesterday that 75, which we're going to get to in a second, that up to 75% of Iran's missile technology continues. That's what the UAE, the Saudis, everybody else in Qatar, everybody else in the region said, do not end this war without taking away their ability to launch missiles at us, because they're more radicalized and angry than ever before. All of the terror proxies are still just as strong around the region. And again, Netanyahu continues his endless war, and Hamas and Hezbollah continues to prove they can survive his endless. I could go on and on, but my gosh, I know the president desperately wants to get out of there because Republicans are telling him he has to look weak and look desperate to get out of there. But man, this is going to be a colossal loss if he cuts and runs now and keeps excusing Iranians from firing on United States vessels and on our allies.
It has come into such sharp focus in recent weeks just how desperate President Trump is to be done with this, to just move on, this is something that did not go as planned, thought it was going to be a few days, thought it might be a couple weeks at most. We're bogged down in Iran. We're seeing prices rise, particularly gas prices spike. We have seen Republicans increasingly panicked about their prospects this November. And you're completely right. And so the president keeps setting deadlines and keeps pushing off them, and we see Iran calling his bluff. What we saw yesterday is the greatest example yet of how desperate he is to keep this going, to insist that we're in a ceasefire when we had active hostilities between the two sides, just trying to push this off. And I'll note a lot of this, I think, is because he wants things to be calm before that summit in Beijing next week. So let's get into that reporting that Joe just mentioned from the Washington Post about Iran's remaining capabilities, both economically and militarily. 4 people familiar with a confidential intelligence community assessment, which was delivered to the White House, tell the paper that the analysis concludes Iran can survive the U.S. naval blockade for at least 3 to 4 months before facing severe economic hardship. The analysis also found, according to the Post, that Tehran retains significant ballistic missile capabilities despite weeks of intense U.S. and Israeli bombardment. That stands in sharp contrast to what the president said just this week.
Their missiles are mostly decimated. They have probably 18-19%, but not a lot by comparison to what they had. And their leaders are all dead. So I think we won.
So, Joe, let's just tick through real quick the goals that were supposed to be accomplished at the beginning of this war. One of them was destroying the Iranian Navy. Okay, get your pen.
Navy, okay.
Yep, they did
Navy,
that. So,
we did that. Okay, so
we've
won the war, right? Okay, give me the other 4, because I'm sure that we got it. I'm sure we got the other 4 too. What else we got?
Yeah, so one of them was supposed to be destroying their ballistic missile arsenal, which we just learned they have not done. They've weakened it, but they have not destroyed it. So that was 2. Third time up would be the nuke program, which they haven't touched, has not been addressed. That still exists. The future of that remains uncertain. We had some talk of regime change. That hasn't happened. Sure, the Supreme Leader.
How's that work?
The first Supreme Leader is dead, but his son is in charge. An even hardliner group now running things in Tehran, the RGC. So it also had the straight.
That's actually worse. So that would be like taking Chapman out so you could put Weissman in relief duty for the Red Sox. It's actually that much worse, isn't it?
Yeah, Greg Weissert is that name we don't want to spend much time on this morning. And then also, let's talk about, we haven't even got to yet, the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran now ends this war with more control. The knowledge, not only can they menace ships through it, which they're doing, but the knowledge they can shut it at any time, even down the road after the war comes to an end. This is an impossible, for President Trump, try as he will, this would be impossible for him to declare a victory at its current state.
Michael, unspendable. The missiles stronger than ever, and that's again what our allies said. You've got to get rid of those missiles because we will get struck, because it's an even more radicalized, if that's even possible, a more radicalized government. Where, there used to be a split between the mullahs, the Revolutionary Guard, and the parliament. Now it's the most hardened element of the Revolutionary Guard that's running it, and they have all the reason in the world now to strike out against our allies. So their missile program stronger than much stronger than people expected. Their nuclear program still intact. In fact, they have much more ability now than they did in 2018 when Donald Trump got out of the nuclear deal. The regime change, this regime is even more hardened and more radical and more embittered for a lot of reasons. And then the Strait. Iran has more power over the Strait than ever before, and yet every day Donald Trump goes out, even when they're attacking our naval ships. Donald Trump goes out and says, "Oh, the ceasefire's on. The ceasefire's on." Talk about the weakness this projects across the region, across the globe, and to the Iranians. How are they going to respond to this?
Yeah, so, I mean, the Washington Post story was kind of extraordinary. I mean, 75% of their missile program still intact. What they've been doing is taking stuff out of storage, basically, pulling old launchers that we thought maybe had been destroyed or disabled. They still have about 70% of their missiles. I spoke to a Western diplomat in Israel yesterday about this story, and he said most of these missiles are probably short-range missiles, which means that the Israelis will consider this a partial victory, right? They don't have as many medium-range missiles to rain terror down on Tel Aviv. But guess who's not going to take this as great comfort? The GCC countries, right? The Gulf Arab states, including the Emiratis, who just got pounded yesterday during a supposed ceasefire. I mean, this is sort of like that movie Wag the Dog. Mm-hmm. It's like, war is over when you say it is. It's just like a high production value kind of war. Yesterday it was a mini war. I think they called it an excursion the other day. Like, we're running out of euphemisms or Orwellian language to describe what's taking place here, right? And Jonathan's point is correct. The IRGC feels emboldened. They have now essentially taken over the country. The rulership of the clerics is almost at an end, I would argue. The son of Khamenei, the new supreme leader, is a creature of the IRGC, probably not a guy who would have been appointed to this position if there had been a proper succession. And they love to do nothing but test and tweak Donald Trump and to show him to be a busted flush or a paper tiger, if you like, right? And he's in this bind. Yeah. He can't say, I'm going to let them, eat my lunch for me. He can't say that I'm going to let them fire on American vessels without responding. So instead, it's this love tap nonsense. But we're at war. We're at war he's desperate to get out of, which he probably shouldn't have started in the first place. I suspect he's got buyer's remorse for this thing, right? But he doesn't want to appear weak. He has to project this image of strength. But I think increasingly, even his own base is saying, man, what are you doing here? Right. This is not what we signed up for.
Well, it's what Lindsey Graham signed up for, and it's what the Secretary of Defense signed up for, Pete Hegseth. It's what Netanyahu signed up for. They all were pushing, saying this was going to be easy, that he needed to go in and do it. And Mika, he's paying for it. And you've got J.D. Vance going out talking about a war that has completely disrupted the economy, a war that is causing Americans to pay $4.50 at filling stations, gas stations. A war that in its opening day killed over 100 children in Iran. That's killed over 7,000 Iranians right now. That's leveled. Netanyahu's used this again as another excuse to level another country, and he's leveled half of Lebanon right now, completely wiping out and destroying entire towns, entire villages. And J.D. Vance is calling that a blip. Nobody believes it.
Yeah, and there's another chilling angle to this. Shashank, the Economist, is exclusively reporting on a document that details an alleged offer from Russia to assist Iran in the war with the U.S. Quote, a confidential document obtained by The Economist from a trusted source suggests that Russia has offered to provide Iran with unjammable drones and training on how to use them against American troops in the Gulf and perhaps elsewhere. Until now, Vladimir Putin's government is thought to have provided intelligence that enabled Iran to target American forces in the Middle East. This is the first evidence that it may also have offered innovative weapons in large enough numbers to inflict many casualties on American and allied forces. The Economist can exclusively report. The secret plan involves Russia providing Iran with 5,000 short-range fiber-optic drones of the sort used in the war in Ukraine, an unknown number of longer-range satellite-guided drones, and training to use both sorts. It is contained in a 10-page proposal prepared by the GRU, the intelligence arm of Russia's armed forces, for presentation to Iran. Shashank, what more can you tell us about this story, which certainly complicates the situation for President Trump?
Yeah, these are remarkable documents in some ways. There's 10 pages of them that we've seen. And we think they originate from an earlier period of the war in which Russia was genuinely worried, as I think Iran was, that Donald Trump might conduct a ground invasion, whether that's of Hague Island, this substantial oil terminal, or indeed of the Persian Gulf coastline in an effort to wrest open the Strait of Hormuz. I think the risk of that has gone down, but at the time Russia was worried. And this document is quite detailed. As you say, it's written apparently by the GRU, Russia's military intelligence agency, and that has a long history of cooperation with Iran's Revolutionary Guards. And it's focused on a scenario of a potential amphibious landing. There's a diagram in these documents that shows how Russian-trained Iranian drone operators could target a landing flotilla by launching swarms of 5 or 6 drones, hidden positions maybe 15 or 30 kilometers away. But the critical part of this is that these are fiber optic drones. These are drones that are controlled by long tethers, not by radio signals. And as we have seen in Ukraine, that makes them extremely potent and very difficult to counteract, as the Israelis are discovering in Lebanon in the last 10 days or so.
Okay, we're going to get to the political angle on all of this with John Hellman. Also ahead, the U.S. national debt has hit a grim new milestone. So what, if anything, is Washington going to do about it? We'll talk about that. Plus, we'll show you what Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche is saying about the possibility of ICE agents at polling places across the country this November. And as we go to break, a quick look at the traveler's forecast this morning from AccuWeather's Bernie Rayno. Bernie, how's it looking?
It is looking cool today, Mika. Your exclusive AccuWeather forecast for the Northeast. Couple of spotty showers, 5-10 minutes, that's it. 62 Boston, 63 New York City, 72 Washington, D.C. Chicago, warmer, clouds and sun, 67. How about the heat in South Florida today? 93 in Miami. Beautiful weather, Charlotte and Atlanta. There'll be a thunderstorm or two around Dallas and Oklahoma City. Not projecting any delays weather-wise up and down the East Coast. To help you make the best decisions and be more in the know, download the AccuWeather app today. Enjoy your Friday and the beauty.
What can you do? You've got no options. You've got nowhere to go. We're the only game in town. What are you going to do? Vote Democrat? And what happens when the Groypers, what happens when the Wang-halves, what happens when the white guys say, yeah, I'm thinking we are going to vote Democrat. We are going to vote Democrat in the midterms. We are going to vote for Amy Acton in Ohio. Yeah, because fuck this Indian. Yes, we are voting for Amy Acton because fuck this Indian anchor baby. He's a literal anchor baby. You ran on mass deportations. You ran on ending birthright citizenship. And you're running an anchor baby, first-gen Indian pharmaceutical billionaire who hates Americans for governor. And you're surprised when people say, yeah, this guy needs to lose. I'm going to help him lose. I'm going to vote for the Democrat. I'd rather have the lesser of two evils. Yeah, a Democrat is less bad than an anchor baby Republican. So it seems like this is how I know it's the right move. You understand? When you encounter the resistance, that is when you know you're doing the right thing. People say you're getting all this pushback. It's so provocative. It's so controversial. People are saying it's unthinkable. You're ruining everything. How could you do this? It's unthinkable. That's how you know we're exactly where we need to be. You are exactly where you need to be. Because honestly, this is the same kind of dynamic when I said not to vote for Trump. Remember that? All these people that are telling me not to vote Democrat, they were all pro-Trump in 2024, down to a man and woman. They were all saying, you can't sit this one out. What are we really going to have, Kamala? This is the most important election of our lifetimes. It's going to be a golden age. How could you remember? I remember the exuberance of election night, people posting the jib-jab face swap of Vivek, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Tucker, and Trump, and Vance dancing to Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. And people said that was funny. People said that was a good meme. People said that we have all the energy, woke is dead. It's all the same people. They were behind then. They were 2 steps behind then, and then they caught up and said, oh my gosh, you were so right. How are we so blind? We kneel. Trump was a Jewish puppet. They're 2 steps behind now, and now it takes them 3 weeks to say, why is he saying to vote Democrat? I don't get it. This is too complicated. So I saw, for example, Dan Bilzerian today says on Twitter, first he's telling us that he's trying to kill right-wingers. Now he says to vote for the Democrat in Ohio. It's too contradictory. And it's like, Dan, I know you're not that smart, but it's really not that complicated. I mean, it really boils down to that. This is why they call us Goyim. Like, sorry, this is why they call us Goyim. I used to think low IQ anti-Semitism is just something that they said. I was wrong. Okay? I was wrong. Low IQ anti-Semitism is real. It's Dan Bilzerian. You know it. I know it. Pretty much the whole world knows it. There is such a thing as low IQ anti-Semitism. We have been seeing it. It has been out of control. It has been running rampant. And what do I mean by that? It's these people that all they know how to say is, it's the fucking Jews. That's all. It's like they're just pressing a button. They can't tell you anything about it. There's no depth. There's no complexity. There's no even real understanding. They don't know anything about anything. That's all they... Hey, maybe Hitler was a good guy. The Holocaust joke. It's a fucking Jews. Hey, retard, it's a fucking Jew. I know, Dan. He calls me up on the phone. He tells me it's the Jews for 2 hours. I want to say, Dan, I know. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Nick Fuentes. I've been saying that for 10 years. I know. Every time he calls and I pick up the phone, he's telling me about how the communist commissars are Jewish. Got it. I know. He's telling me about how it's all of them. I know. He's telling me about how Israel is causing all the wars. I know. Reach to the water. Got it. Anyway, so he says, he's telling us that the left is going to kill us, but now you're... Look, I mean, how much clearer can I make it? I've said it. I've said it so many times. We are going Democrat in 2026. This is a midterm election year. Do you understand that? It means that every House seat is up for election and 1/3 of the Senate is up for election. The President is not up for election this year, Dan. Okay? Now, if Democrats win the House, and for the next 2 years you'll have a Republican president, a Democrat House, and maybe a tie in the Senate, maybe Republicans will maintain control. And the Supreme Court is favored for the conservatives. So what does that mean? It means that Democrats are not going to be able to do whatever they want. There's no scenario where that happens because of checks and balances. The Democrats in the House will have to reconcile anything they pass with the Republican-controlled Senate. And even if the Democrats control the Senate, the president will have to sign off on any legislation. And that can only be overcome by a supermajority in the Senate of 3/5. Okay? Civics 101. And the Democrats will not have that. So what does this effectively do for the next 2 years? It does not give Democrats total control. It just checks the power of Trump. Right now, the Republicans control the White House, the House, and the Senate. And what that means is that in key votes, like, for example, on the Epstein files, Republicans are able to block that legislation. The only reason that the Epstein files came out is because a handful of Republicans, one of whom who is now retired, Marjorie Taylor Greene, mutinied against the GOP and voted with Democrats. But if Republicans had a bigger majority, they would have been able to bury the Epstein files permanently. The same is true with the War Powers Act. There was a resolution in the Senate to shut down Trump's war in Iran. It was a party line vote. Every Republican, with the exception of Rand Paul, voted to prevent the Senate from blocking Trump's war in Iran. If the Democrats controlled the Senate, maybe they would have stopped the war. Okay, so this is just basic stuff. What's more, the Democrats control the House. Under the Constitution, they gain oversight powers. What does that mean? It means they can subpoena, compel the release of documents, they can depose, compel testimony, they can create subcommittees, and what they will do almost certainly is they will investigate the Trump government. Don't we want that? If Trump is in the Epstein files, don't we want the Democrats to impeach him? Don't we want the Democrats to open up an investigation? Don't we want them to compel the release of documents, compel testimony? They get that with oversight powers, and they will do that. And people say, oh, well, voting doesn't matter. it's all a uni party. Well, the Republicans and Democrats are still vying for power between each other. And so, yes, just like the Democrats gained the House in 2019 and immediately impeached Trump and created subcommittees and subpoena and all those other things, they're going to almost certainly do it again in 2027, and that is a good thing. They will slow down this government, and here's the big picture, okay? Here's the big picture. Let me just say it again for everybody at home. Here is the big picture, okay? In 2028, let me just tell you the significance of this. In 2028, this will be the first election since 2012 when Donald Trump is not on the ballot. That's a really big deal. Trump was on the ballot in 2016, 2020, 2024, and it really wasn't even negotiable in the last two elections. In 2016, there was a real primary contest, and the people chose Trump. But in 2020, he was running as an incumbent, so there was no primary. And in 2024, he might as well have been running as an incumbent because he was seeking a non-consecutive second term, okay? So 2028 is going to be the first time in 16 years. It will have been 16 years since Trump is not on the ballot. And obviously, so much has changed in 16 years. Much of it having to do with Trump. So, going ahead to the 2028 primary, I believe that the right wing in this country, the white people, the Christians, the conservatives, the nationalists, the immigration hawks, the anti-war people, the social conservatives, I believe that anybody that would identify as right-wing or Republican or as part of the opposition, we deserve an opportunity to have a fair fight. And by that I mean we should get options. This is the first time that Trump is not going to be shoved down our throat. So 2028, we should have an open primary where we actually have a competition. It should be competitive, and we should have a lot of different voices and get a say in where the Republican Party is going to go after Trump and where the country is going to go. This is vital, because on the Democrat side, you know what you're going to get. On the Democrat side, like, I would be the first one to say the Democrats are fucked, okay? And they do want to kill us, and they do want to destroy us. They're going to put out somebody, like, they don't even want to entertain the notion that they'll nominate a white man, okay? We're getting BLM on steroids, we're getting the trans agenda, we're getting democratic socialists, we're getting people like Hassan Piker and Zohran Mamdani, we're getting feminists, we're getting absolute garbage. We know we're going to get garbage from the Democrats. We know what we're getting. Nobody wants that to happen. Okay? I want them to win in 26 for those reasons. I do not want them to win in 28. I do not want a Democrat to be in charge of law enforcement at the federal level, which is what happens in a presidential election year. I do not want a Democrat to have a unified government, meaning to have the White House and both chambers of Congress. That would be ruinous, and yes, they would kill us if they did that. So we know what we're going to get with the left. It's going to be garbage. We know that's not something that we can entertain. So the only opportunity that we have is if we get a good Republican nominee. We need a good, because that's the only place where you're going to get nationalism. You're not going to get a nationalist, an immigration hawk. You're not going to get somebody that is going to restrain Jewish power in the Democratic Party. It's only going to come from the Republican side, but from a specific faction. And that faction can only exercise influence during the caucus and primary process, during the Iowa caucus, during the New Hampshire primary. That's where, if you have 15 candidates, you only need a candidate getting a plurality of the votes to get the delegates. So, you know, if you have a big crowded field and the vote is split between 10 or 15 people or something like that, that is where the Groybers or the nationalists or somebody that is truly savvy, they won't even need to win a majority of everybody. They're just going to need to rack up enough delegates with a plurality. That is our opportunity to get somebody sympathetic in the White House, which is where it counts. Okay? Now let's think ahead to 2028. What is happening right now is that there is a shadow war between J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. They both want to be coronated. Neither of them wants a primary process. They don't want to compete. They don't want to have to fight off against a dozen other candidates. And the party is looking, and by that I mean the endorsements, the rank and file, the conference in Congress, the donors, they're making their decisions about which of these candidates, the VP or the Secretary of State, are going to be coronated as a successor. And once that decision is made, the whole party is going to line up and consolidate behind one of them. And if you have one super powerful candidate, like let's say J.D. Vance is the guy, and Rubio falls in line, then he is going to crush everybody in Iowa. He's going to crush everybody in every primary, and he's going to be the guy. If everybody consolidates behind Rubio, then Rubio's the guy, and Vance falls in line, and he's just going to crush everybody. And both of them are unacceptable. J.D. Vance has his connections with Palantir. Rubio has his connections in Florida with Miriam Adelson, and with the rest of them, Paul Singer. Both of these options are totally unacceptable. So think about 2028. You on the Democrat side, Gavin Newsom, terrible. AOC, terrible. J.B. Pritzker, terrible. Each worse than the last. And on the Republican side, if we do nothing, it's going to be Vance, terrible, or Rubio, terrible. All bad options. I'm thinking ahead to 2028. I want Vance and Rubio to be as diminished as possible. And that only happens if the Trump administration is sabotaged. The Trump administration has to fail in every way. It has to become more unpopular, weaker. It has to become so toxic that Rubio and Vance are hurt by their association to it. So that it increases the odds that an outsider that is not a part of this train wreck, this Israel-occupied administration, can come in from the outside as a breath of fresh air for a reset and define a whole new period with Trump off the ballot in the next primary. This is what we're thinking. This is what we're cooking up. And what's funny, so I've explained this like 100 times. I've explained it so much. But people just can't wrap their heads around it. They're like, wait, so you're a Democrat? It's like, no. And then they go, wait. So you want to vote for them now? You're saying you're going to hurt us in 28? It's like, yeah, okay, yes. Yes, I want them to win this election, not the next election. Anyway, so that's the idea. But I'm getting a little bit black-pilled because people are just, I mean, here's the thing. It's going to happen. Regardless, it's going to happen this way. Okay, screenshot this, screen record this. I want everybody to...
So you heard about me and Geraldine, eh? Yeah. Coming over next week. That's good news. I'm totally getting laid and shit. No, we're out in Los Santos. Gonna have a little bourgeois, a little gluttered. Órale, I'll tell you how it goes. Nah, man. I don't mean that. Don't put words in my mouth, homie. Oye, mi sangre. What up?
damn it.
Sunday works for me. Morning would be ideal.
Fucking number of days.
Great. See what they got. Let me know. Hey, that shit was fucked up last night, right?
Good evening, everybody. You are watching Inside Baseball. Country is going to go. This is vital because on the Democrat side, you know what you're going to get. On the Democrat side, like, I will be the first one to say the Democrats are fucked, okay? And they do want to kill us and they do want to destroy us. They're going to put up somebody, like, they don't even want to entertain the notion to nominate a white man, okay? We're getting BLM on steroids. We're getting the trans agenda. We're getting democratic socialists. We're getting people like Hassan Piker and Zohran Mamdani. We're getting feminists. We're getting absolute garbage. We know we're going to get garbage from the Democrats. We know what we're getting. Nobody wants that to happen, okay? I want them to win in 26 for those reasons. I do not want them to win in 28. I do not want a Democrat to be in charge of law enforcement at the federal level, which is what happens in a presidential election year. I do not want a Democrat to have a unified government, meaning to have the White House and both chambers of Congress. That would be ruinous, and yes, they would kill us if they did that. So we know what we're going to get with the left. It's going to be garbage. We know that's not something that we can entertain. So the only opportunity that we have is if we get a good Republican nominee. We need a good, because that's the only place where you're going to get nationalism. You're not going to get a nationalist, an immigration hawk. You're not going to get somebody that is going to restrain Jewish power in the Democratic Party. It's only going to come from the Republican side, but from a specific faction. And that faction can only exercise influence during the caucus and primary process, during the Iowa caucus, during the New Hampshire primary. That's where, if you have 15 candidates, you only need a candidate getting a plurality of the votes to get the delegates. So, if you have a big crowded field and the vote is split between 10 or 15 people or something like that, that is where the Groypers or the nationalists or somebody that is truly savvy, they won't even need to win a majority of everybody. They're just going to need to rack up enough delegates with a plurality. That is our opportunity to get somebody sympathetic in the White House, which is where it counts. Okay? Now let's think ahead to 2028. What is happening right now is that there is a shadow war between J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. They both want to be coronated. Neither of them wants a primary process. They don't want to compete. They don't want to have to fight off against a dozen other candidates. And the party is looking, and by that I mean the endorsements, the rank and file, the conference in Congress, the donors, they're making their decisions about which of these candidates, the VP or the Secretary of State, are going to be coronated as a successor. And once that decision is made, the whole party is going to line up and consolidate behind one of them. And if you have one super powerful candidate, like let's say J.D. Vance is the guy and Rubio falls in line, then he is going to crush everybody in Iowa. He's going to crush everybody in every primary, and he's going to be the guy. Or vice versa. If everybody consolidates behind Rubio, then Rubio's the guy, and Vance falls in line, and he's just going to crush everybody. And both of them are unacceptable. J.D. Vance has his connections with Palantir. Rubio has his connections in Florida with Miriam Adelson, and with the rest of them, Paul Singer. Both of these options are totally unacceptable. So think about 2028. You have on the Democrat side, Gavin Newsom, terrible. AOC, terrible. J.B. Pritzker, terrible. Each worse than the last. And on the Republican side, if we do nothing, it's going to be Vance, terrible, or Rubio, terrible. All bad options. I'm thinking ahead to 2028. I want Vance and Rubio to be as diminished as possible. And that only happens if the Trump administration is sabotaged. The Trump administration has to fail in every way, has to become more unpopular, weaker. It has to become so toxic that Rubio and Vance are hurt by their association to it. so that it increases the odds that an outsider that is not a part of this train wreck, this Israel-occupied administration, can come in from the outside as a breath of fresh air for a reset and define a whole new period with Trump off the ballot in the next primary. This is what we're thinking. This is what we're cooking up. And what's funny, so I've explained this like 100 times. I've explained it so much, but people just can't wrap their heads around it. They're like, wait, so you're a Democrat? It's like, no. And then they go, wait, so you want to vote for them now, but you're saying they're going to hurt us in 28? It's like, yeah, okay, yes. Yes, I want them to win this election, not the next election. Anyway. So that's the idea. But I'm getting a little bit black-pilled because people are just, I mean, here's the thing. It's going to happen, regardless, it's going to happen this way. Okay, screenshot this, screen record this. I want everybody to record how they feel right now. Because in 2028, I'm going to be absolutely vindicated. You are once again watching the magic in action. And this time, I'm going to talk my shit and I'm going to say it confidently with my chest. You might watch those clips from 3 years ago and say, how did he predict the war in Iran? How did he predict that Trump would be this bad? How did he predict that there'd be no mass deportations? How did he predict it down to the month, down to the letter? Those same people are now saying, I don't get it. What, we're Democrats now? Screenshot this. It's happening all over again. I will be vindicated. Democrats are going to win the House. The next 2 years of the Trump administration are going to be a train wreck. He might die in office. I don't want that to happen, but it might happen. He's certainly going to be impeached. They're going to grind every initiative, every program to a halt. He's only going to get more unpopular. And soon, okay, in 2027, the Republican primary is going to begin. The Republican primary for the 2028 presidential election is going to start sometime next year. Like, it might happen in January, it might happen in the spring or summer, but it's going to happen at the minimum, at the earliest, at the midpoint next year. And these are the conversations that people are going to have. The donors are already making their decisions. They want to start donating to Rubio or Vance. All of this is starting right now. We have to start thinking about this right now. And if you want an opportunity, if you even want a chance in hell at having a Groyper president, a nationalist, America First president, we have to start gaming it out right now. And, you know, this relates to what just happened with Casey Bush. Okay, Casey Bush, who ran against Vivek Ramaswamy in Ohio. So it would have been ideal and probably winnable if a America First candidate ran against Vivek for the Republican primary in the governor's race. Casey Bush ran a terrible campaign, raised no money, didn't listen to his advisors, and he still got 18% of the vote. And people are right that that's a big deal. It's huge. He got over 100,000 votes, and it's true, he raised no money, had no operation, did no events, no virality at all, nothing. But you know what he says after he loses this winnable election? He says, well, I only raised $100,000 and I've only been in it for 5 months, so that's pretty good. And people say, why aren't you supporting this guy? Here's the difference. I don't want to be a day late and $1 short and fucking lose and then shrug my shoulders and say, hey, not bad. Not bad. No, we need to win. We need to win. So there's all the difference in the world between somebody who gets red-pilled yesterday, sees a race, goes all in with no intention of winning. 5 months before the primary, doesn't even know if they're going to be on the ballot, and says, hey, let's just give it a shot. Look, we're not taking this seriously. Nobody really plans on winning. Maybe it'll go well. Who cares? No, that's not good enough. The 2028 primary is winnable. But listen, it's a presidential primary. If we're going to have a chance, you got to take it seriously. And taking it seriously means you need to think that far ahead. And it is a bit convoluted. Okay? Yes, I know this requires some second and third order thinking, but that is what is required if you want to be a Machiavellian. That is what is required if you want to win in politics. So no, I don't want to wake up in the middle of 2027 with my dick in my hand and my pants around my ankles and say, oh, gee, I think we need to get in the primary. Somebody needs to do something. Let's start a campaign and not know if we're on the ballot. No, we need to think about this now. And we need to think about the challenges that we are going to face. And I'm telling it to you right now, I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not an oracle. I'm not a soothsayer. But next year, our top is going to be J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio because they have the boss. Trump is formally the head of the party as the president. They are second and third in the chain of command in the government. I think Secretary of State is fourth. I'm not sure. But it's like Vance and Rubio, formally in government and informally in the party, they are the successors. And they are going to suck up all the money, all the earned media, all the attention, and all the votes if there is not a wrecking ball that hurts them. I can't destroy them. The Groypers are not strong enough to destroy the GOP machine, but the Democrats are. If the Democrats are empowered in 26, because they are naturally set against Republicans, they are powerful enough to degrade meaningfully their chances of winning. How? Democrats having oversight power will subpoena and depose members of the Trump government. They will expose the fraud, real corruption, real Epstein stuff, the rest of it. It is going to be so radioactive and poisonous and toxic. It is going to seriously wound everybody in this administration. And that is good because those are the people we're going to be fighting against in the 2028 primary, which starts next year. So, that's all I have to say to all these people is call me when you want to get serious, okay? This cutesy stuff where you go on Twitter and say, oh, maybe Hitler was a good guy. It's fine. It's fun. It's fine. Hit of dopamine. It's a viral post. It's great. Whatever. Call me when you want to get serious, because when you get serious, you start looking at power. You start thinking about how power works. And that's how we have to think about these problems. That's how we have to think about these challenges. Take it from me. I'm not just a 10-year veteran of, talking about Jews. I don't just go on the show and say Jew. For 10 years, I've also been a student of the Trump movement. I've known people in the administration in the first term, in the second term. I know the donors. I know high-level officials. I know how this went the first time. I know how and where it went wrong. I know what happened the second time around. I know how and where it went wrong. I lived it. I lived through it. I lived through the first 4 years of Trump and the campaign and all the fights happening in the bureaucracy. I lived through the 4 years of Biden and the prosecution or persecution of the dissidents and playing that whole game and being in the opposition, Republicans running in 22 and fucking us over even then. Marjorie Greene's deal with Kevin McCarthy, we were there for that too. And then throughout this whole process, this election, this term, the personnel, so it's a dual track. Like, yes, we have been ascending in our understanding and consciousness of the Jewish problem or Jewish power, whatever. We've also been ascending in our consciousness and understanding of politics and how all of that works in Washington. And I'm telling you, Vance is our biggest op. Vance, if you're looking for the biggest enemy of right-wing nationalism, it is the conservative center-right, which is going to squelch us. They're going to fucking suffocate us. And no one is taking this seriously. There is so much money being poured into that, laying the groundwork. Think tanks and nonprofits and cadre of influencers, and they're getting the comedians in Austin, Texas on board. They're getting all this stuff ready. They have been planting these seeds for years. They have been planting these seeds for the past 10 years. And they are setting up, I am telling you, Tucker and Vance and Nat Khan and Yoram Mazzoni and Barry Weiss and all of this, they're all doing it to suffocate and siphon energy from the dissident right, from the nationalists, pouring it all back into a Vance 28 campaign, a Rubio 28 campaign. And you can expect just as much America First from that as you got in this administration, which is none, which is nothing. And nobody is taking that seriously. And numbnuts, and all these other people, they just cannot even begin to understand anything that I just said because they do not care. And they don't know the first thing about politics. So, you know, enthusiasm is no substitute for cleverness. And that's really what they think. There are no participation trophies in this war, okay? Casey Bush and every other loser, this long list of has-been and never was failed candidates and influencers and whoever, there are no participation trophies. You do not get a blue ribbon for enthusiasm. There is no at least I tried, at least I did something. Hey, I don't know if it's going to work. I don't care if it's going to work. It didn't work. At least I did something. That's not good enough. That's not enough. It has to work. And for it to work, it has to make sense. And it might be convoluted, and it might be ambitious, and it might be a little bit too complicated for your small head to understand. But that's how it has to be if we want to win. Time to get fucking serious. It's Randy Fine. Dude, it's everybody that lives in your district is an old boomer evangelical. It just doesn't even make any sense. So, no. There are now two tracks diverged, and honestly, it's a good thing. Honestly, it's a good thing. Let that be a magnet for every dummy. Let that be a magnet for every dummy, every numbnuts, every low IQ person, everybody that just wants to do something. Let that be a magnet for all of the refuse and the lumpen, and let this be a magnet for the elite human capital, for people that want to think deeply about these problems. You don't even have to agree with me necessarily, but we do need to be on the same page that we're going to need a big picture. We're going to need a big idea. We're going to need a better mental model of the world than whatever is going on that side, okay? So it's fine. So honestly, it's fine. And that's the big idea. That's been the big idea. I've been saying it for a long time. I said it in 2024. I said, we got to go against Trump. Nobody wanted to go there. They were too late. And now, here I am saying the same thing. I'm like, we got to up the ante. We got to go Democrat. We got to break the mold, break that taboo. We got to do it just once. And once again, people are saying, oh, it's too far. Oh, it's too complicated. Oh, I don't get it. So, but here's the thing. I let the predictions do the talking. I'm not going to argue anymore. I'm not going to make the case anymore. I've made the case. And here's the good thing about this show. I always have my record. So you do your thing and I'll do mine. You do your whatever that is. I'll do my thing. Let's just go our separate ways and let's just see what happens. Let's just see where we are in a couple of years. That's all I'm going to say. Let's just see what happens in 2028. And if you're confident, then you got nothing to worry about. That's the difference. I always put my money where my mouth is. I always go all in, and I am always vindicated. Always. Every single time. So, I'm done. No more pearls before swine. I'm trying to explain this to somebody that doesn't know their ass from a hole in the ground. Let's just see what happens. Let's just see where we are in a couple of years. People say, you think this mythical dark horse is going to run? And blah, blah. Let's just see what happens. Okay? Let's just see what happens. You and what army? You and what army? Of OnlyFans thoughts? That's the difference. I'm still people can say they're the movement. People can say whatever they want. This is still the only movement. Always has been, is, always will be. This is the America First movement. Everybody knows that. You have no army. You have nothing. You have no ideas. You have nothing. You are nothing. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But we're going to move on. We're going to get into the news. That's the last time I'm going to say it. It probably isn't. I'm going to do the same monologue tomorrow. Who am I kidding? We're going to do the same monologue next week. But honestly, I've been saying it for a long time. And who knows, maybe they're a part of it. Who knows, maybe they're a part of this operation. But that has always been our biggest enemy. Our biggest enemy is not the left. The left will kill us, certainly. The left is out to get us, and they hate us, but the left is not the biggest threat. The biggest threat has always been the center-right. Because, look, we have a binary system. We have a two-party system. You've got the status quo, you've got the institutional left, the hegemonic left, and then you've got the opposition, which is the right, which is trying to unseat and disempower the left. And the right has, it's institutionalized opposition. That is the other half of the country, and they have a monopoly on the people in the country that don't agree with the left. If we can take control of the right as a vehicle, then we can use it and we can win. That's really the path to victory. It's not going to come from the left. It's not going to come from a third thing in the middle. Our system just isn't set up for that. That has always been the MO. And Trump really opened up the door for that to happen because he sufficiently weakened the GOP. And if you're paying attention on another level, you'll realize that Trump is doing the same thing all over again. In 2016, Trump weakened the Republican Party for himself to ascend. And then he became popular and the Republican Party became strong and they won in 2024 and they filled the federal judge seats and they took over the House and the Senate. They did a lot of things. But now that Trump is crashing and burning, he's sort of once again bringing down the GOP. And we need to enable him to do this so that once again we can have another outsider come in and maybe we get a chance to redefine things. But I'm telling you, whether it's Vance or whether it's a Democrat, we're going to need to go for the hills. These are both unacceptable options. Nobody else seems to be thinking that far ahead. It's kind of crazy. Once again, Alex Jones, I was with him last week, and he says, how did you predict the war in Iran? I'm like, I just listened to what they were saying. I just literally thought 1 year ahead. And here it is all over again. They're telling us Vance 28 is non-negotiable. It's unstoppable. You're just going to have to shut the fuck up and accept Vance 28 or Rubio. And that's going to start next year. Look at a calendar. The primary will start in 2027. And nobody's even thinking that far ahead. Nobody's even thought a year in the future to the next presidential election. When do you think you're going to think about it? When do you think we're going to get it together to field somebody for a presidential primary? The week before? 5 months before with $100,000? Oh, that's good enough? No, you got to think about it far in advance. Long-term planning, not exuberance, not enthusiasm and haste. Let's just do something. No, long-term planning is the only thing that is going to get us to where we need to go. So if you want to be a part of that, this is where we are. If you want to be a part of the other stuff, you know what? Get your hijab, get your Dots Ice t-shirt, and go to the next fucking whatever rally. And you can do that. Honestly, they're doing us a favor. It's another foil for the America First movement. All right, but anyway, we're going to take a look at our super chats. I don't even think we're going to get into Iran. Should we? Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Iran. We're going to get into some news tonight. We'll talk a little bit about the ongoing war in Iran. And then we'll look at the super chats afterward. It's been an hour of monologue, and it feels like, I don't know, kind of abrupt to just go from, 50 minutes of that to the news, but whatever. So the big news is that the ceasefire in Iran is once again falling apart. Has anybody even been paying attention to the war in Iran? We will catch you up to speed on it a little bit. The big development today is that the United States has bombed Iran for the first time in 4 weeks since the ceasefire was promulgated. And this consisted in some air and sea-based attacks against Iranian islands and coastal cities. And this was in response to an Iranian attack on U.S. destroyers in the Strait of Hormuz earlier today. So this is a story from the New York Times, and then we'll kind of work backwards and catch up to speed on how we got here. It says, quote, the United States said it attacked military sites in Iran on Thursday in retaliation for unprovoked Iranian attacks. U.S. Central Command said in a statement that Iranian missiles, drones, and small boats had attacked 3 U.S. destroyers in the Strait, but that U.S. forces had eliminated inbound threats. The statement said that in response, the U.S. military had targeted Iranian military facilities responsible for attacking U.S. forces, including missile and drone launch sites, command and control locations, and intelligence surveillance and reconnaissance nodes. The Iranian military accused the United States of violating the ceasefire a day earlier by firing on an Iranian oil tanker that was heading toward the Strait of Hormuz. It said it had retaliated by attacking U.S. military vessels in the region. So this was like a tit-for-tat thing. The U.S. has imposed a blockade on the Strait of Hormuz against Iranian commercial shipping. So Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz using drones and missiles and sea-based mines to any commercial shipping that has not gotten permission from the IRGC. Well, the United States has imposed a blockade of their own using these U.S. Navy destroyers in the Arabian Sea, and they are attacking any and all inbound or outbound Iranian commercial shipping. So Iran is attacking everybody else. We are attacking their shipping. So yesterday, Iran apparently attempted to bypass our blockade. The United States enforced it by attacking one of their chemical tankers. Iran saw that as a violation of the ceasefire. They retaliated by attacking the U.S. destroyers with speedboats that attacked their chemical tanker. In response to the attack on the destroyers, the U.S. had to retreat, and then we went in and bombed the Iranian coastline and the islands. So it was a little tit for tat. We enforced the blockade, they attacked the destroyers, so we then bombed their coastline. President Trump told reporters on Thursday evening that the ceasefire was still intact even after the exchange of fire. The back and forth came as explosions shook Iran's Qeshm Island and the city of Bandar Abbas, shipping centers on the Strait of Hormuz, as well as the country's capital, Tehran, according to Iranian news media and citizens posting on social media. Iran's armed forces said that the United States and its supporting countries were responsible and that the strikes had come after exchanges of fire between U.S. and Iranian vessels in or near the Persian Gulf. A spokesman for Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps wrote on social media that the U.S. has violated the ceasefire. Hours before these accusations, 3 Iranian officials said that the 2 countries were debating a 1-page proposal for the United States to lift its blockade on Iranian ships and ports, for Iran to open the strait to unimpeded commercial traffic, and to end the fighting for 30 days while negotiators try to reach a comprehensive peace settlement. The key stumbling block to an initial agreement is what to do about Iran's nuclear enrichment program and its stockpile of highly enriched uranium. Okay. So, ceasefire, Iran, where are we? So we are in the phase of the Iran war of the ceasefire. The Iran war went on from February 28th until 4 weeks ago, you might remember, when the original ceasefire was announced. And this followed all of those deadlines and ultimatums. There's been a few phases in the war. We came in really heavy with Israel in our surprise attack on Iran, purpose of which was to topple their government. Came in with everything we had, killed their supreme leader, and the idea was the government would collapse, regime change would happen organically from the people, and that would be the end of it. We thought it would be like Venezuela. But the days went on, weeks went on, and we realized that would not happen. The Iranian regime chose a new supreme leader. It seems that their military was decentralized and resilient enough that they were still capable of carrying out drone and missile attacks. And, critically, Iran did move and was able to close the Strait of Hormuz. So these were some of the things that took place that changed the nature of the war. We thought we would topple the government. We wouldn't have to worry about the strait. We thought we could topple the government and that would be the end of it. But because Iran's regime was durable, they were able to still carry out attacks. And that gave them the capability to indefinitely close the strait. And that's what we were not counting on. because the IRGC was decentralized and the command structure was decentralized, even though we eliminated a good percentage of the higher-ups, the senior leadership, up to and including the supreme leader, all of these other IRGC commanders dispersed throughout the country were still able to launch drones and missiles, and that is their capability, which allows them to close the strait. And so they closed the strait, they were able to continuously keep the strait closed, and then that put pressure on the United States because of the global price of energy. And at that point, it became a war of attrition. We've talked a lot about this. The United States thought that if we just kept up the military pressure, that would eventually get Iran to fold, even though we were under economic pressure. But as the weeks went by, it became clear that there was nothing that we could do militarily, only using air and sea power, that would prevent Iran from keeping the strait closed. So we're under economic pressure because of the exploding price of energy and other key commodities. And our military pressure on Iran seemed to be yielding increasingly minimal results. There was no return on investment there. We were hitting them harder and dropping more bombs and doing more things, and it did not affect their ability to launch drones and missiles that were preventing commercial ships from getting through the strait. So then it became very obvious that Trump was just going to have to quit and end the war. And he was looking for ways out, looking for ways that we could increase the pressure on Iran. We talked about all those different options. They talked about invading the islands. They talked about bombing civilian infrastructure. They talked about paratroopers landing in the Iranian mainland. All sorts of things. And in the end, Trump just bluffed and said, well, maybe we'll do all of it. Maybe we'll invade the islands and invade the mainland and bomb the infrastructure. And finally, when the bluffing didn't work, eventually Trump just sued for a ceasefire. And that's where we were 4 weeks ago. So you could say that those were two distinct periods. You had that first phase of the war where we were seeking a speedy regime change, not even thinking about the Strait of Hormuz. Quickly turned into a war of attrition, and we tried to win that, again, with overwhelming military force. We tried to get creative and think of other ways to put pressure on them. It didn't work. In the end, we just bluffed. They never believed it. And so finally, we declared the ceasefire. And you might remember, the terms of the ceasefire were these. We said that we will stop bombing you if you open the strait and you engage in a 2-week process to find a comprehensive peace. Well, notably, Iran did neither of those things. The Strait of Hormuz has remained closed since the ceasefire happened, initially, and throughout that 2-week period, there was only one meeting in Pakistan, and it did not go well at all. Iran did not agree to any of our demands. There was no willingness to negotiate on any of our red lines or anything like that. And so even though the ceasefire came with these terms, we said, look, we're gonna do you the favor of not bombing you as long as you open the strait and negotiate. They neither opened the strait nor did they negotiate. And yet the ceasefire remained in place for those full 2 weeks. And then when the ceasefire was supposed to expire, Trump extended it indefinitely. Now, what does that tell you? It tells you that we are benefiting it. We are benefiting from it more than Iran is. We're telling them that we are doing them the favor by not bombing them, but they're not even keeping up their end of the bargain. They've maintained control of the strait, and they're not letting shipping go through. And they're not realistically negotiating with us in good faith. And yet not only did the first ceasefire expire, but it was extended indefinitely, and now here we are, 2 weeks and 2 days after that original extension. So where does that bring us today? Well, again, what was being talked about was a new temporary agreement where the United States would end its blockade over the strait, Iran would open the strait to commercial shipping, and then there'd be a new 30-day window. Okay, so originally there was a 2-week window. Now they're saying there'll be a 30-day window for a more comprehensive agreement to address the root causes and so on. That was being discussed today. But here again are the sticking points, okay? The sticking points are these. when the United States is asking Iran to open up the strait, our expectation is that they are going to leave the strait alone. But that is not Iran's idea. Iran's idea is that they will maintain control over the strait and they will allow ships to go through it, but only with their permission, and charging them a toll to go through the strait of $1 per barrel of oil. So there's all this talk about the strait. We're saying you need to open it, and they're saying we will open it, but we're saying you need to let it go. You need to open it, and the word that we are using is freedom of navigation. That's the critical phrase. We're saying we want to go back to the pre-war status quo. That is considered international waters, and nobody owns it, and therefore nobody can charge a rent on it, nobody can charge a toll. And so all of the Qatari LNG, all of the Saudi oil is able to freely go through. Iran has no say over it. They can't profit from it. Well, Iran is saying something else. They're saying, well, it's going to be open, but it's only going to be open with our permission. Yes, any commercial ship can go through, but they need to call the IRGC and tell us they're coming. They need to go through a new designated shipping lane, and they're going to need to pay us. Because Iran doesn't want to let this go. For Iran, this is their deterrence. What prevents the United States and Israel from attacking them all over again? It is their control over the strait. And obviously they want to consolidate their control, which they have taken since the war started. They're saying this is how we're going to rebuild. How are we going to rebuild our country? We're going to charge money on this Persian Gulf that we now own. And what's more, they're saying, we won this fair and square. We took it. It's ours. We're going to split it between us and Oman. And now we're going to charge a toll just like Egypt in the Suez, just like Panama in the Panama Canal. And that's just going to be ours. And that's our strategic victory. So there's a huge sticking point over the terms and the conditions under which the strait is open. That's number one. But number two, and this is the big thing, and the Iranians say this, whether we even have another 30-day ceasefire and whether we're able to end the blockade and open the strait, it all comes back to nuclear enrichment. And once again, the United States is demanding that Iran give up all enrichment activity or commit to some kind of moratorium where eventually they'll get rid of it. And Iran is saying they're actually dug in. They're more dug in than before. They're saying that enrichment is their sacred right. It's as sacred to them as their own territorial integrity. In other words, they're identifying enrichment with sovereignty. What it means to be a sovereign state is that you control what happens on your borders. If another country is operating militarily on your soil, you're at war. Because what defines a nation's independence and sovereignty is their ability to dictate what happens within its territory. And so when Iran says our right to enrichment is as sacred as our own soil, they're saying sovereignty means the ability to develop a nuclear deterrent, which is the ability to enrich uranium and have a native nuclear program. So they're actually more dug in. The United States says zero enrichment, no exceptions, no negotiation, no wiggle room. And Iran is saying the exact same thing in the opposite direction. Now, the United States is not going to agree to a short-term thing without nuclear, even though Iran is saying that we can come to a short-term agreement and we'll negotiate the nuclear issue later. Now, why does the United States not want to kick the can down the road on nuclear enrichment? Because we have to assume that if we give Iran 30 days, and then let's say they don't make a deal,
I'll deal with it.
and then it's 60 days, and then it's 90 days. For as long as we are negotiating with Iran and we're not bombing Iran, and Iran is not committed not to enrich, we have to assume they're digging out their highly enriched uranium. Or we have to assume that they have other centrifuges in the country and they're enriching more uranium. And maybe they're working to acquire some kind of nuclear deterrent, a primitive one, but maybe they're working to acquire something like that. So there is still a countdown timer here where the United States does not have endless time to negotiate. We can't give them endless time to negotiate, especially not as long as they are free from military pressure, as long as they're not being bombed. So this is where we are. They say as they've been saying for this entire time, that we're so close to a deal, Iran wants a deal. They say that the Saudis are pushing us to work through Pakistan to make a deal. All these things, and yet the fundamentals have not changed. The red lines have not changed. Nuclear enrichment is still the impasse. Even the Strait of Hormuz is now an impasse. Iran is never giving that up, and the United States is never going to let them have it. And so in the middle of this process to get a peace process, you've got an exchange of fire. A couple days ago, the UAE is hit with drones and missiles at their oil storage facilities. Yesterday, the U.S. enforces its blockade against Iran and hits one of their tankers. Iran retaliates against U.S. destroyers that have to retreat. The destroyers cannot operate close to Iran because they're too slow. They're going to get hit by drones and missiles. So the United States retaliates by bombing Tehran. Well, now there's a question. Does Iran take that laying down? Iran got hit in Bandar Abbas on Qeshm Island in Tehran, maybe elsewhere. Iran says that wasn't just the United States, but also the Emirates, also the U.S.'s supporters in the region. So now does Iran take that on the chin? This little love tap from Trump? Or now does Iran retaliate against the UAE or against one of the Gulf countries? I would ask another question. Is the UAE trying to restart the conflict? There's some sources that say that the drone attack on the storage facilities in the Emirates came from Saudi Arabia. Was it some kind of false flag? Are they looking for a provocation? Here's my bigger point. The peace process is very fragile because you have a two-way blockade. So this necessarily involves Iran is going to be hitting commercial shipping. We're going to be hitting Iranian shipping. So it already lends itself. We're already set in opposition, and there's a great deal of tension. And on any timeline, we're going to be firing on each other. The United States said on Sunday that we launched a new operation, Operation Freedom, and the U.S. Navy would be escorting commercial ships through the strait. The only reason that got called off on Tuesday is because Saudi Arabia and Kuwait wouldn't let us use their airfields. So we wanted to escalate. We wanted to get more involved. It was Saudis and Kuwaitis that pulled us back. So the ceasefire is fragile. Point number two, ceasefire can't really succeed because in order for us to even get a real peace process, there's going to need to be capitulation on one side on one of the important issues. And by that I mean the U.S. and Iran will have to capitulate on the strait or on nuclear. The U.S. is going to have to give up on enrichment, or Iran will. The U.S. is going to have to give up on the strait, or Iran will. But there's going to need to be capitulation on both of those issues to even get a protracted peace process going, and that's an impossibility. Neither side is going to give up enrichment. Neither side is going to give up the strait. Third, all the other players in this conflict, I think, want it to keep going. Israel wants it to keep going. The Emirates wants it to keep going. It seems maybe there's a difference of opinion with Saudi Arabia. They seem to be pushing the United States to pursue diplomacy through Pakistan, but it's hard to know what to believe because there's so much lying going on with Barak Ravid and Axios and some of these other sources that are out there. But clearly this is a very unstable situation that tends toward a resumption of hostilities. If the truce is fragile, if the peace process can't start because there's a true impasse on two very important issues, and if there are players involved, namely Jerusalem or Tel Aviv and Abu Dhabi, that want the war to keep going, then all signs point toward there's going to be a resumption of hostilities, maybe at any time. Now, the only thing to look out for is that in a little bit over a week, Trump is going to visit Beijing and he'll be in China. Now, all of the Asian countries have a very strong interest in bringing the war to an end because it is the Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Malaysia that are most acutely affected by the closure of the strait. They are the biggest customers for Persian Gulf oil, not just Iranian oil, but all the oil and energy that comes from the Persian Gulf. They are going to get hit first. they're going to get hit hardest, and they're already rationing their energy resources. And there's sort of something interesting about this. So on the one hand, China sees Iran as a strategic ally, and China is one of Iran's biggest purchasers of its oil. Iran, I believe, is now purchasing 80% of Iran's oil. So Iran and China sort of joined at the hip, and it was said that China pushed them into the ceasefire originally, probably because China doesn't want to see the United States decimate Iran's energy infrastructure. But now there's something interesting going on, which is that as Vietnam and the Philippines and Indonesia are facing these energy shortages and acute energy problems, who are they going to rely upon to get bailed out? A country like the Philippines is a security partner of the United States, but they are kind of an economic partner of China. It is the United States that is inflicting this energy shock on these Asian countries. It's because of our military venturism that they're having to ration energy, that they are going to face some real economic problems. And who's going to bail them out with credit? It might be China. That is the center of gravity economically in the Indo-Pacific. So it seems that maybe the road to ending the war in Iran ultimately is going to run through Beijing and whatever's agreed to on May 12th when Trump goes out there. So I don't know that the war is going to restart before then, but clearly that is going to be a pivotal moment. And maybe there's going to be a grand agreement, not just on trade, but also involving the Persian Gulf energy. So that's going to be the next big date to watch. Trump says that Iran has another week. Trump says that Iran has 1 week to come to another agreement about another ceasefire for another peace process. Who knows if that's even real? The real deadline to watch is May 12th when Trump goes to China. So that's what we're going to watch for. But right now, it's all up for grabs. Who really knows even what's going to happen? But I would say that everything is pointing towards, at some point in the near future, a resumption of hostilities. I don't think, as much as the United States would like to just simply walk away from this, and it seems like that is kind of the plan, is to slowly walk away, create these truces and ceasefires and this kind of like architecture of diplomacy. In reality, I think that that is just as much of a sham as it was in February, as it was last April and May when we tried it then. And the needle is really pointing towards there's going to need to be some kind of much more ambitious military solution. At least that's the only way that Washington sees out of this problem in the final calculation. So that's where we are in the war in Iran. We finally got caught up to speed on that a little bit. We're going to move on. We're going to take a look at our super chats. We'll see what you guys have to say about all this. And we'll see. We'll see what the super chatters have to say. What's your take? All right. Gonna get set up. Let's see. Drama, drama, drama. It's always something, isn't it? Always something. That button jacket, what do you think? Hair's a little messed up again. Right? That's okay. I washed it, so it's a little, like, the texture's like a little, not the best. I feel like the hair texture's the best when you don't wash it for, like, 1 day. When I wash it, it's like a little too staticky. It's like too thin or something. Anyway. Let's see what we got here. Let's take a look.
Vortex Roy percent $100. A little for a gig of entropy troubles.
Hey, thanks for the big super chat. Yeah, I appreciate it. The entropy thing's been a real pain in the ass, but you guys have been helping me out, so I thank you for that.
Derek FC Kenzie sent $50. What are your thoughts on Monty Prince and Dian?
Don't know him. No thoughts. Have no idea who that is.
Green Jelly sent $20. Support for you.
Thanks. Appreciate
Diversity
it.
Stole My Bike sent $528.
Whoa, thank you for the massive super chat. No, this guy had a big super chat last night, too. Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate the huge super chat and no message. These are like the best words in the English language.
And Sugar sent $20. Governor Hot Wheels must be voted out. Indian invasion.
Texas is beyond cool. Fuck him.
Yeah, I agree. He's terrible, man. He is absolutely terrible. Huge Zionist, as you know, very pro-Israel, and also totally complicit in the illegal invasion of Texas. Anybody there will tell you.
And Todd Jigger sent $20. Republicans voters, if the rule you followed, wrong even use
for now. I can't get over there. What use? What they really want to vote Republican every time. It's crazy. I just don't get it. It's like it's not working. They're not our ally. They're against us.
The Wolf sent $20. I appreciate your political analysis, especially regarding Israel. Okay. That said, Lehman is not a real libertarian. FYI.
Oh, that's crazy, bro. Okay.
Miles Sneak and Disliker sent $22. More than white QC to the Shane Gillies comedy show in Los Angeles. A dozen plus Roeheimers gave compliments.
Really? Hey, the white quarter zip? That's crazy that the white quarter zip was that recognizable. I would get it if it was like a shirt with the logo or like the Wang Half shirt, but that's pretty next level. So I'm glad to hear that.
StrategyDogs.com sent $20. Roy Pin ain't easy.
It never gets any easier. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, always.
It's 1% $200. Appreciate you, go.
Thank you, man. Appreciate the big super chat. I appreciate you.
Roy Mustang sent $100. Hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you, man. Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah. Thank God it's Friday, right? Thank God it's Friday. It's fucking Friday, boys.
Martin Lychee sent $20. If I vote for the Vance ticket that brought us to war in Iran, over my dead body, I would rather die. Then vote for that.
Exactly.
Big Chungus Bro ever sent $100. Voting blue. Here we go.
Thank you for the big super chat. Yep. We had to do it. We had to go off.
Thomas Cruz sent $100. Your greatest monologues should be transcribed and compiled into a book. In his own words, the essential monologues of Nick Blutesnik bestseller.
I just gotta write a book. I gotta stop being lazy and just write it. Everybody's been telling me forever, you gotta write a book, and I'm just, it just seems like a lot of work. One of these days I gotta buckle down and just do it. I have another hat here. Which one should I wear? Well, I guess everybody's calling me a Fed again, so maybe I'll wear the GIA hat tonight. What do you think? Reuters Intelligence Agency. I texted Dan, I'm like, bro. He tweets, he's like, I don't think Nick Fuentes is a Fed. I texted him, I'm like, bro, really? He goes, I'm sick of your fucking bullshit. It's like, oh, it's like, never change, man. Oh, dude, I'm sick of your fucking bullshit, man. Dude, you fucking bullshit, man. You fucking man. Never change, bro. Yeah, I guess I'll wear this one because of the allegations. Because of the allegations. Anyway. Yeah, no, I can't do like a compilation. That's pretty lazy. Not gonna name any names, so that's pretty lazy. Just gotta write a book that's, legit.
Wander Felios sent $50. I'm the chatter from a week ago who spurged out about having a Catholic board and fiance. She insisted on sending this, so here we go. Nick, I am getting married if you are invited.
Oh, awesome. Well, honestly, it's okay. I don't really like going to weddings. So, congratulations, though, on your Royper marriage. Good for you. I'm so happy.
Calgary Norperson.
I'm sure you're a real chat. I'm sure you're a real catch.
People calling Nick out for telling us to vote Democrats in the midterms proves him right on why we need to burn the whole GOP to the ground with every plant thruster in it. Blue Wave 2026.
Look. We have to go dark, okay? I'm so serious about this. Like, we have to be the villains. They're gonna hate us for it. They're gonna hate us for a little while. I'm okay with that. I'm telling you right now, a lot of people are gonna dislike me. They're gonna talk shit about me. They're gonna hate me. We're gonna have to just deal with it, okay? I have to be the villain. I've accepted it. It's gonna be extremely unpleasant for you. No, but it's just true. How many people are gonna say that? Like, yes, we're gonna take some hits. We're gonna be unpopular. We're going to be attacked. We're gonna be misunderstood. But this is what we have to do. I did it in 2024, and I didn't regret it. I did it in 2019, and I didn't regret it. And I'm doing it again, and I'm not going to regret it now. So we did not get this far by doing the easy thing, by going with everybody, doing what's popular. I didn't come this far to, like, sell out and just lie to everybody and go along to get along and be super popular and not fight with anybody. We are still dynamic. We are still coming up with new ideas. We are still fighting. It is a permanent revolution. Permanent revolution means it's always shifting, always changing. We're always pushing the envelope. And it doesn't mean we're changing the fundamental principles, but it means that we are constantly marching forward. We're never going to create a defensive line and get complacent and get comfortable. We are always going to be marching ahead, taking the battles, fighting the fight. So, this would be a perfect time for me to kind of like sit back on my throne and say, oh, I'm the king of America first, and, we're just going to take all the easy fights and do all the easy stuff. It is a permanent revolution. We are always pushing, always churning, always going forward. And so we're always going to be a little bit unpopular. We're always going to be controversial. We're always going to be fighting to be heard and understood. But you know what? That's what it is to be in the future. These people are in the fucking past. Don't you understand that? These people that are now saying Jews did 9/11, that's in the past. Everyone already believes that. Okay? Those were red pills 10 years ago. That, don't you understand? They're playing catch up. They are now where we were 5 years ago. They are the fucking past. They are normies. They are not dynamic. They are not forward thinking. They are at the end of the adoption curve. I'm a pioneer. I get things started. I go to where the future is. I bring it forward into the present. You people get red pilled 10 years in the future and say, oh, how did he predict all that? Oh, I'm a normie. I'm a normie. I was being on Instagram for 5 years. Now I just discovered politics exist at the ripe age of 45. Like, we have to be in the future. So, and that necessarily involves being unpopular because most people are not capable of thinking. Fundamentally, most people cannot think for themselves. They will always be catching up. They will always be the last to find out. It's like these people that got into Bitcoin after it hit $100,000. Did you hear about Bitcoin? It's that same premise. It's like once a certain class of people finds out about something, it's already finished. It's already dead. It's already done. It has already run its course. When your normie friend that doesn't know anything, when it finally matriculates, when it finally gets to that person, it's already over. It's already on its way out. And something else is just about to start cresting. So, and maybe that sounds very abstract, but it's like with Groyperwood. We led the charge against Charlie Kirk in 2019. We did this conversation about immigration moratorium, Israel, social conservatism. We did that in 2019. Everybody's been catching up since then. And even this thing about opposing Republicans. I said in 2022, don't vote Republican. And in 24, I said, don't vote Trump. And in 22, we did yay 24. And now we're saying vote Democrat. It's only now that everybody's catching up and saying, gee whiz, Trump was a mistake. It's so disappointing. Gee, maybe Vivek needs to lose and Amy Acton needs to win. Once again, here we are again. So, it's really just that simple. And everybody that is talking shit about me is old, stupid, and doesn't know anything about politics. Like, why would anybody listen to them? The Groypers are young, extremely engaged in politics, know what they're talking about, know the score, know how we got here, they know the lore, they know the history. Why are we listening to people that literally got red-pilled yesterday, are old, and don't know anything about anything? Like, that's not leadership. So, if you want to lead the army of the past, knock yourself out. You want to lead the army of people that are playing catch-up, hey man, knock yourself out. We're undergoing another reinvention. And I told you, this is not cope. I told you this at the beginning of the year. I said this is going to be a year of refinement. This is going to be a year when we're going to need to shake a lot of people off. I said we are in a bubble, and the bubble was inflated. Anti-Semitism, whatever you want to call it, became mainstream It attracted tons of people, and now the influencer economy is too big. There are more influencers that need to make a check or need to get engagement off of Israel criticism than the economy will support. And so it's going to turn to, knives out, infighting, jealousy, all the kinds of other issues. These are just some of the dynamics that are going on. So this is going to be a year of reinvention. We did generational run. Okay, we've been to the top of the mountain. We won. Now it's time to get back to the workshop. It's time to rebuild the Iron Man suit. Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps. Now this is like Iron Man 3. We got to get back to our roots. We got to rebuild the suit. So anyway, we got to discover the new element. That's Iron Man 2. But anyway, those are just some thoughts on the whole situation.
Sasha Grover sent $20. Nick, I don't think it's fair to group Croatians in with the rest of the Slavs. Don't you know what happened here during World War II?
Honestly, I could care less.
FTD sent
I could not care less.
FTD sent $22. I hate it when Normies say you can't drive a big truck. Nigga, I can't criticize Jews. At least let me drive a Suburban.
Who says that? Who says you can't drive
a sent $20. Hey Nick, been watching for a year and have been loving the show. Wish I found it sooner. The shows have been especially great since you came back from your trip. Excited for Generational Run 2.
Think so? Everybody's been saying that. Everybody's been saying that. I wonder why. I guess I just needed a break. There was a lot of stuff that was just getting to me, a lot of things. And, not even one thing in particular, but I was just so fed up with politics and paranoid and just dealing with a lot of nonsense. And so I had to just take a couple weeks to dig deep and collect myself. Had to hang out with the homie Keith Woods. Had to hang out with my rabbi, Keith Woods. He's not Jewish, but Keith Woods is my spiritual advisor. He's not Catholic, so I know that's not great, but he's extremely wise. Extremely wise. He knows a lot about spirituality. He knows a lot about psychology and philosophy, so I just needed time to be with my rabbi. He's going to hate that I call him that, but I had to be with my monk. He's like my Buddhist monk. That's better. He's like my Buddhist monk. I had to go to a new continent and be with my Buddhist monk, my spiritual advisor, my sage, the savant. Because I was crashing out hard. I needed a little, I needed someone to tell me, be like water. I needed somebody to tell me some shit like that. I need somebody to tell me there's a consciousness underneath your consciousness. So, yeah. So I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, it was a good trip. Appreciate, Bradley Martin put the idea in my head. He's like, you need to just go to Italy. I was like, that's so true, dude. We need to just do things this year. So yeah, it was a good trip.
Ocho Vilo sent $20. Gen X Roy got here. Looking forward to the Crowder collab. And after recently rewatching the Candace Tabaco, I can really see the weight loss. Jawline on point.
Yes. So? Thanks. Yeah, I'm modding a little bit.
Fortnite Battle Pass sent $40. Went to trade school before finding the show in late 2024. I plan on becoming a lawyer now. Thank you for inspiring the 07.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. Love to hear it. Will you plan on becoming a lawyer, or are you doing it? Put it into motion, bro. Don't speak your plans into existence. If you speak them out loud, they'll never happen. You gotta do it. You gotta put it in motion. Don't tell me I plan on becoming a lawyer. You don't get credit for planning on it. People come up with these plans, they write them down, they tell people about them, and then they get this dopamine reward like they had already done it. You gotta do it. You gotta fully send it. I'm glad to hear it.
Rude Boy sent $20. Can you please say Polish people are white so that we can sleep at night?
Polish people are white. They definitely are.
Pass sent $50.
Happy?
Everyone across the political aisle is now calling you a Democrat. The GOP is always going to be pro-Israel, so why not just switch parties indefinitely? The GOP already sees you as a traitor anyway.
Oh, you're not hearing. Why not just do it indefinitely? It's like the Goyim are just... Maybe the Goyim deserve this. Maybe the Goyim just deserve all. Maybe they deserve everything that's coming their way.
Mark sent $500.
Yo, thank you for the huge super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, man. God bless. 07's in the chat for the support. Man, thank you so much.
Defeating him on said $100. When you go on Steven Crowder tomorrow, Jared is going to label you an explorationist. This is an obvious straw man. The call to vote Democrat is aimed at Americans suffering its ballistic cost. The GOP paid forcing the party to realign with AN values over donors. If the only notion with motion.
They're my ideas. I know it. Yeah, thank you for the big super chat. I know. You're telling me that like I don't know my own argument. I'm not an accelerationist at all. You're totally right.
Jordan B. Video said $100. You're the man. You've been the man, and you're the man the future needs. Keep up the great work. You're in me and the family's prayers.
Thank you for the big super chat. I appreciate it. Jordan B. Good to hear from you, buddy. Man. We love Jordan B.
Andrew Johnson 621 said $20. I was cracking up with that clip Josh posted on X. The pause and look for Megan had me rolling lol. Keep it up, man, and shout out to all of the UPS rowivers out there listening to you delivering.
How about it? What's going on with Dasha? What's going on? What's going on over there? What's going on? What's going on to my Red Scare girlies? What's going on over there? Not beating the allegations by saying that. Yeah, how about it? Dude, Megyn Kelly was pressed. Because she goes, it's shocking. And Dasha's like, it is shocking. And Megan's like, are you being facetious? No, I'm not being facetious. It's very extreme. What is that? Was Megan trying to get them to disavow? She put together my highlight reel of every racial slur I've ever said? What is that? Well, everybody's just... Why is everybody always attacking me? I feel like I have this karmic debt. Everybody's out to get me. Everybody's just trying to hurt me, it seems. Everybody just wants to really hurt me in the deepest possible ways all the time lately. Can't catch a break. One thing after the next. One thing after the next. But that's okay. But that's okay. It's fine. But honestly, it's fine.
Hate the rich, but do you have the courage to hate the poor?
That's so true, dude. That is so true. I'm going to have to put the black hat on because it's dark. Because I'm black-pilled. It's like Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3, it's time to get a little meaner. It's time to get a little meaner. Throw a little dirt in your eye.
Johnny Lawrence said $25. Automatic transmission is for pussies. Learn to drive a stick shift.
Okay, holy LARP. Talk about a LARP. I'm getting self-driving. Just
Ryan Train said $20. The Democrats are the real enemy, Nick.
Full self-driving.
Because of their capture of our institutions through us, just because of anti-white colonial sentiment. I will never vote them.
Dude, the ride never ends.
MXTN said $100. You've allowed this Dark Lord to twist your mind to now. To now you've become the very thing you swore to destroy. It was said you would destroy the left, not join them. Nick, the Democrats are evil.
Please, thank you for the big super chat. Dude, I'm like Dooku. I'm like, no, the Republic is the enemy. I'm like Darth Tyrannus. It's like, what if I told you the Republic is under the control of the Dark Lord? So, no, I'm a separatist, dude. I'm a separatist. All right? I'm like Count Dooku, actually. Totally misunderstood. Anakin's going to cut my head off.
Of Praetorian said $20. Hi, Nick. Reached out about manufacturing the plushes for you. I have experience, connections, domains.
All right. Thank you.
Kickbutt Kowski was right, said $20. We're in this movement for you. Not Blizzard, Shields, Clav, Sleepo, or anyone else. Forgive, but never forget disloyalty.
Oh, yeah, no, I never do.
Valiant 22 said $100. These people will never understand why we are Democrats now.
True. Thank you for the big super chat. I appreciate it.
Harris said $20. Do you like any songs by Trippie Redd?
No, it's garbage.
Rollborn said $20. Your ex-profile pic is Chop AF. No aura. Love you. Stalin said $22. Half these guys can't commit to Christ. Did we expect them to truly commit to AF? Pro-Ivers will throw in abundance regardless.
I don't think that really makes sense.
Cyclic said $100. Can you ask Crowder during your interview how he'll stand before God on his judgment day and justify promoting Bongino daily? A pedo protector who saw the files and stepped down rather than helping.
Oh, my. Okay. Thank you for the big super chat. Yeah.
Noah W said $20. RX agents.
Then everyone claps. Let me ask you, how could you stand before God in judgment when you promoted Dan Bongino, a pedo, like, dude, save it for, I don't know. Save it for your bathroom mirror. Bro's giving a soliloquy to his bathroom mirror.
Noah W said $20. RX agents as honorable as soldiers, not as dangerous, but career suicide, dirt pay, zero prestige. They don't die for his
It's a really interesting question. Are ICE agents as honorable as soldiers? So these are the pressing questions we need to get to the bottom.
The White Regan said $20. Praying for your safety.
Thanks.
Dominican Groy present $25. Fuck all of these ankle biting haters. Let them take the path of least resistance. Bitch niggas will be bitch niggas. Woman shrugging.
True.
Big campaign Groy present $50. Bill Zarian is about to run the exact same campaign as Push, which means no campaigning and just shit posting on X. These people are just pretending to run. You are right to reserve judgment.
Yeah, well, let's just see what happens.
Faramir sent $20. Crystal in 73. Shapiro in 16. Jews on October 7th, all willing to play both sides.
Yep.
Their playbook. Love from Portugal.
So true.
Heavy PG sent $20. Date saying you aren't man enough. Dad calling you a fed. Welcome to Revenge of the Chuds.
Truly, it can be understood as a Revenge of the Chuds. Casey Bush, Chud. Dan Bilzerian, Chud. It really is. They can't handle a sensitive yearner. They would never, dude. Schopenhauer would fucking hate you. Arthur Schopenhauer would fucking hate you. Okay, they would never understand. Goethe would fucking hate you, dude. They could never understand. They would never understand a true Wertherite, a true sensitive yearner.
Sure sent $100.
They just wouldn't get it.
Got a solid biz proposal to make some dollar outside politics. Pretty sure you'd love it. Best way to contact you? Tried exit NJF.team already. Still need Democrats. God bless.
Thanks for the big super
Big
chat.
campaign Croy for 2 cent $50. Dan, give me a gun. Officer Bilzerian claiming to be the leader of America first. A sex trafficker who is now forced to do social media because of how badly he's handled his inheritance. Pathetic.
He made me watch that whole video. Do you know that? I went to his house and he made me watch that whole video. He literally sat there and I had to watch the entire video of that incident. Give me a gun. Give me a gun like it's a movie. Give me a gun, dude. Let me get in there. That's so, yeah. Doesn't that just say it all? Yeah.
Roy for forever sent $100.
Thank you for the big super chat. Appreciate it.
You were supposed to bring balance to the right, not leave it in darkness.
Oh, grow up, bro.
David Irving, 88, sent $20. R.E.P. Dan Bilzerian. Bro watched Dropa in 2024 while high as fun blow surrounded by hookers and now thinks he can step to the king. He'd take Shahada before getting baptized.
Yeah.
David Irving, 88, sent $20. Can't wait till that bitch loses to Randy Fine. Smiley face emoji. Sad.
Well, there's plenty of other candidates.
Hill sent $20. The GOP betrayed its base. Punish them for it. House Dems in 26. Put this nigga in a peach. Fuck me, Ron Salami. Wank.
Yeah, absolutely. Put this nigga
sent
in a
$20.
peach.
Abraham George, the Indian-born Texas GOP chairman, running for re-election for Texas GOP chairman, and all the boomers are falling for it in rural Texas. It's not just me back in Ohio. Gus Rowan, grade 1823, sent $20. I'm just entering high school soon and I want to have a future in politics at one point. How would you recommend I get there for me and for others that want to pursue the same thing? And thank you.
So you're 13 or 14? Dude, that's crazy. Bro's 14. Bro's like, hey, I just graduated 8th grade. Yeah, it's April or May. Bro just graduated 8th grade. 8th grade Royper here. No, but that's wholesome, actually. It's actually wholesome, and it's nice to hear. Listen, don't worry about that. Don't worry about all that stuff. Here's what you got to worry about. To all my young fans, all of the 8th graders, high schoolers that watch the show, here is my advice. You are at an age where your brain is able to learn faster and better than at any other time in your life. It's called neuroplasticity. Okay? So everything you do now is going to make you smarter, better, more of a weapon in your life. So this is what I tell all my young followers. Do the most to protect your mind. It's your most valuable asset, is your brain. And that means stay away from the bad stuff, no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes, none of that stuff. It's poison. Don't let anybody tell you differently. It's not cool. It's not fun. It's bullshit. And that's how people develop a problem, by the way. People start that stuff early, and they can never let it go. So stay away from drugs and alcohol. I would even say stay away from sex. Big distraction. And I would focus on learning a language, learning a musical instrument, reading as many books as you can. And the last one is the most important. Get good grades, take school seriously. I didn't take it seriously. I thought it was a joke. I regret it. Because the skills that you learn in school, this is all good for your development. This is all who we are, okay? Math, science, history, English, that's who we are. So see the value in it that is there. So take it seriously. give it your all, get good grades. You want to get into the best college possible. That's how you set yourself up. You want to develop your brain, get the credentials to get into a good college. It's all just about setting, I sound like my parents, it's all just about setting yourself up for the best future possible. You don't even necessarily have to go to college, but you want that to be an option. You want it to be an option that you could go to college.
Okay, so you're in
So that means getting good grades, getting extracurriculars. Just do things that are going to help you learn. Okay, if it's a learning experience, do it. Whatever that is. You know, fuck around with AI, fuck around with crypto, whatever. You know, just learn, not just even in the classroom, but get a practical education as well. I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but get a practical education as well. There's a lot of young people that are entrepreneurs. Start thinking about technology. Start thinking about AI. Start thinking about those kinds of things. Even put your resume out there. When you get like 15, 16, put your resume out there. But that would be my advice to you. At this age, I wouldn't worry too much about politics. I'd worry more about setting yourself up in the best position possible for your future. And that means staying away from the distractions and really doing yourself a favor by increasing your IQ. You can increase your IQ by 10 points at this age if you just take it seriously. So do what I did. Read as many books as you can. Take advantage of school. Get good grades. Set yourself up for success. That's my advice, okay? That's my advice for the youngsters.
$60. Any thoughts on the vote for in the gubernatorial race in Oklahoma, or is it so unimportant that we don't care?
I'm not paying attention to that race.
Jim Judge sent $20. Shout out to Howling Mutant for defending your Fed accusation versus Bilzerian today.
I saw that. Yeah, you know, that shows a lot of integrity. And I've been at odds with that guy for a long time, and he's been very negative towards me. But you know what? That shows some integrity. So I actually really appreciate that. And I don't know that we're going to be best good friends, but you know, my biggest problem, I don't even necessarily have a problem with people that criticize me or shit on me. I just hate dishonesty. I just hate when people lie. So that actually showed some integrity, and I do appreciate that for what it's worth. So that was nice of him. It wasn't nice. It was the right thing to do.
Lana Del Rey Grover sent $20. You could shoot my entire family and I'd still have absolute faith in you. Beardson is a good for always being too long EP for NJF.
He's one of my only friends that's really stuck around over the years. He's a good man.
Plasma Grow ever sent $50. Nick, what do you think about Embethka? She's almost like a female version of you.
I don't think about that person.
Roy sent $50. Lakaga Fluta.
I don't know what that means.
Lana Del Rey Grover sent $20. 5 feet 7 inches, Eva priceless and like CP. Here's his own tweet as proof.
Oh, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to get in a shit-flinging contest with him. I don't care about him. But here's the thing. He's attacking my position. Whatever. He's a nothing person. He's a ridiculous person. I don't want to get in a shit-flinging contest with him. He is what he is. Anybody that can look at that guy can see what he is for what he is. But he said, oh, you're a Fed because you said this about Democrats. I just want to make my position very clear. So I don't care about the other stuff.
White America first sent $20. Well. How are you always right?
Unmatched perspicacity.
Gondorian Pro.
Sheer indefatigability.
How does they say it? Little birdie told me GR. Crashed down in a few group chats today. Something about Photoshop. Biggest fragile.
Who? I don't know what that is.
Daddy my you sent $20. No hope for Graham. Everything is in front of their eyes yet they won't see. Vote down 26 or be late to the party once again.
Very true. Absolutely.
Okie Kroger sent $20. You don't hear this enough, but thank you for everything you do. We love you, Nick.
Hey, thanks a lot, buddy.
The Jewish question sent $20. They aren't even worth a response from the go. They're trying to farm engagement off your aura. You and everyone.
True. Thank you for the big super chat. It's true. It's true.
Richard Rowe sent $50. God bless you, Nick. Keep your head up. Southern Ohio here. Been a Trump fan since 2016. Been following for years, and you helped me lead a few friends to vote blue. IG will not here.
Love it. Yeah, you know, we just need, he has to lose by any means necessary.
Carmen Bill sent $20. Top 3 favorite Disney movies you loved as a kid that you still love today.
I don't know, man. What kind of question is that? Favorite Disney movies? I'd have to think about that. I don't watch any Disney movies, to be honest with you. I'm trying to think, is there any? I can't tell you the last time I watched a Disney movie. I wouldn't even be able to tell you.
Sway Johnson sent $20. Mark Levin's video podcast now has almost half the show as ads. Republican voice Slav. You're in the business. Isn't he wealthy enough to do it for free?
Yeah, probably, but I'm sure he makes a fortune off of that, so, you know.
Land guy sent $20. It's a fun game to try and think of a super chat that will get a positive response. To seek it out, this seem kind of game, though. But it is fun. The coin flip with your hood is a tough obstacle. Land guy sent $20. Response predictions if jolly. Slightly abused if patience is wearing thin. Yeah, it is gay. Don't do that shit or yeah, well, you lost the game this time. MC Mahan 4 Mayor sent $20. Mr. Fuentes. I have to say that I'm confused as to the purpose of the Carlson, Kelly, Bilzerian dog pile on you. Well, Kelly and Bilzerian are simply stupid. I am less sure of T Season 10. Thoughts?
Well, he's in league with Vance, so it's that simple. I am going to be a problem for Vance and Vivek, and Tucker is a Vance booster. So it's that simple. He wanted to neutralize me, that didn't work, now he wants to throttle me in the crowd.
He has sent $100. Skinny.
Hey, appreciate it. Thanks for the big super chat. Yeah, I'm pretty skinny.
Sent $100.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sent $50. W show. Hey Nick, my daughter just tried banana for the second time today. Not to sound like an African American, but do you like bananas?
Oh, this
At a 947281638 sent $20. Morgan Ariel, the face of syphilis, has endorsed Dan Bilzerian. Does candidate Dan Bilzerian?
Dude, okay.
Sudbury 99 cent $25. My pops had to visit the Holly Museum a few weeks ago for anti-Semitism awareness. They are trying to indoctrinate my pops.
That's crazy.
Head Broiler sent $50. Big fan. Full homo Sonia.
What up, Sonia?
Thomas James 7 cent $20. First time super chat. Recent fan. Wicker Park, Chicago. You have realistic opinions regarding power politics. God bless.
Thanks, Wicker Park, huh? Real hipster.
Bishop sent $20. Hashtag Ray Bilzerian.
No Ray.
Jonathan X Fox 0 sent $20. Absolute masterclass. Voting Democrat is the way.
Yeah, well.
Passive aggressive racist sent $20. Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Noy the Crusader. It's the Jews. I've been saying this for 10 years.
Dude, it's actually crazy. Every time, dude, and that's all these girls do is talk on the phone. Honestly, 99% of these crash outs are because I don't pick up the phone. Like, Dan was flaming me because I, didn't text him back. And I was like, bro, I literally missed, 3 texts. And he's like, it was 4! It was 4 texts! I was like, whoa, not that anyone's counting, right? And he's like, you never called me back. I'm like, dude, you're like a girl. All you fucking people do is talk on the phone, kicking your feet. I don't have time for that. It's like, well, it's not even I have all the time in the world. I just don't want to talk to you. Dude, he would call me up for hours and just give me the speech, just give me the monologue about the Jews. I'm like, dude, I know. I know. We're arguing about Charlie Kirk and stuff. I'm like, dude, watch the show. I don't know what to tell you. It's really not for nothing, but so many people crash out on them because I just won't even go one step out of my way to demonstrate that I have any patience for what they have to say, and then they just start to hate me. That's really what I need to get better at that, but it's so hard for me. Because people just the dumbest people imaginable just blowing up my phone, and it's like, dude, I don't want to be on a call with you for 60 minutes, going in circles about stuff we already know. I'm good. So it's you can't win everybody, you can't, not everybody's gonna like you. Not everybody's gonna like you, so it is what it is. So, some people I don't mind taking a call from, but other people it's holy, just watch the show. I don't know what to tell you.
Citizen 25 sent $20. What do you think of King Louis XIV of France? He seems to be greatly underrated historically speaking.
You think? Louis XIV. I'm thinking Louis XVI. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a huge fan of absolutism.
New Alt-Right sent $20. Any advice for the Black Pillars? Thank you for the show. Each one is always better than the last. You're the fucking GOAT.
Advice for Black Pillars? No.
Dylan's Mind sent $20. Fantastic show tonight. Best week of shows since I started watching.
Thanks. I don't know. I thought they were okay. I appreciate it, though.
Derek White sent $25.
Yeah.
Ohio lived 28 years here. This will be my first time voting for a Democrat ever.
Let's
and
go.
I'm kind of scared.
I know, right? It's your first time. Don't worry. First time. That's okay. We'll just take it slow.
Florida Grow Ever sent $25. If people don't understand after this episode, it's deliberate or they're retarded. W show, W explanation, W monologue.
That is what
LSU
it is,
Florida
man.
sent
Thank you.
$20. Stand behind you and only you.
Hell yeah, thank you.
Sent $20. Incredible monologue time is a new fact. This is the most pushback
Right?
I've seen you get done my first year.
It's crazy. It's actually crazy. The amount of pushback I've been getting lately is insane. But it's fine. But honestly, it's totally fine.
Mark Money Lane 5 cent $50. Appreciate your knowledge, but struck to see if you care more about trolling than real long-term change in America. Asian Floyd sent $20. W Show. Let's go Dems 2026.
Absolutely.
White America First sent $20. My previous contribution was on point. Right pointing finger emoji.
Thanks.
Denzel Ross sent $25. You forgot San Marino yesterday. Stumpcha. Party facing.
I said San Marino, dumbass. I don't know if it's landlocked or not. I wasn't sure if it was coastal, but I totally mentioned it. Okay, it is landlocked. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was totally landlocked because it is close to the coast. But I did mention that, dumbass. Nice try.
Nicker sent $20. 2020 Part 2 coming soon. Time face emoji. Face with bags of rum.
Honestly.
Donald sent $20. I'm done talking about it. Am I fucking kidding? No, I'm not. We'll talk about this again tomorrow. Smiley face emoji. Keep up this momentum. People need to hear this. This is the only way forward.
It's true.
Bob Tylog sent $100. Please look into the FLO6 Republican primary. America First Aaron Baker has been running against Randy Fine for a year, and Dan Bilzerian, who called you a failure, is claiming to be America First and is
That's really interesting.
Which will split the vote with Aaron, guaranteeing his latest victory.
That's really interesting. I'm going to take a look at that. Thank you for the big super chat. I appreciate it. We'll take a look at that.
$25. Got my AF no motion tea in the mail. Very high quality.
Sweet. Glad to hear
Mark
it.
Slab sent $20. Being an independent voter guarantees that a person is a free agent that has sovereignty. Sovereignty is everything. Not being a dedicated Republican, Democrat, or fake independent option voter.
Absolutely true. You're right. You're right about that.
Jasper sent $20. Great show. But I think you might have made an enemy.
Well, the guy attacked me first, so, you know.
Bob Tyler sent $20. Aaron Baker's fish back at Horse, by the way.
Interesting.
Fish James back sent $20. Hey Nick, FTSC, first time super chatter. I'm just using slang. Can you name the 2 countries in the world with the letter X?
2 countries in the world with the letter X. Let's see. Okay, don't look at the chat. 2 countries with the letter X. Are there countries in the world with the letter X? I'm struggling to even think of one. Well, there are none that start with an X, so let's get that out of the way. Mexico, okay, that's easy enough. Mexico and is there a second one, or is that just a trick? That should have been obvious right out of the gate. What else would have an X? Ooh, this is a tough one. This is a tough one. This is hard because you have to literally go through like every country in the world. Is it going to be super obvious? Let me think. I might just have to give up on this one. No, it's not right. Country with an X. Country with an X. I mean, where would it be? Is it in Africa? Is it in Latin America? I'm tempted to say Latin America because you got Mexico. So let's see. So it's nothing in Central America, right?
Yeah.
Nothing in South America. I don't think it's in Asia. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to get this one. X. Yeah, I'm not getting this one. Alright, what is it? Luxembourg. I would have never guessed that. Alright. Yeah, you stumped me on that one. I would have never gotten that. Well, I just wouldn't have thought Luxembourg. Damn, you got me.
You're awesome, Nick. Much love from Rumford. Ace Gordon sent $20.
That's a bummer.
Doubted you this week. Tonight's show makes it clear you were ahead of everyone else in the game. Respect.
Oh, you doubted? You know, I just don't get, when am I ever going to earn the benefit of the doubt? When am I ever going to get that? I've been right about everything for so long. I've been right about literally everything, and it's never enough. Ever. Right? I was right about, like, the basics. Jews, race, Israel. I'm right about stuff like Peter Thiel, Vance. I'm right about Trump. I was right about the election. Iran, the timing of it, the deportation. I'm right about literally everything. And niggas just can never give me the benefit of the doubt. I say one thing people don't agree with, and they go, I don't know about that. You might be a fed after all. It's like, bro, at what point do people just say, you know, maybe you're him?
Christina sent $50. Hi, Nicholas. Hope you're doing well. My distressed hat arrived today, and I love it. Thank you kindly. Humble hat salesman. Smiling face emoji. P.S. Happy early Mother's Day to Mrs. Fuentes, who raised a good son.
Thanks a lot. And I'm glad you like the hat. Appreciate it.
Sent $20. Dude, the look in Candace's eyes when she showed the clip of you giving her props for the Daily Wire stuff. She wants you, bro.
She doesn't want me. But look, I think she wants to like me. I think she thinks I'm funny. I don't know. It's all such a mystery to me. I just can't get along with anybody. I'm a monster. I'm a problem. I'm too much. I'm not enough. I'm too aggressive. I'm too intense. I just, you know, I just can't connect. I can't make it happen, you know? So it's a struggle. It's not easy, but I appreciate it. Oh, Candace!
69 sent $20. Been meaning to say this for a while, and I know it's old news, but I think the greatest compliment you've ever received is when Piers Morgan said you could be booked because you're celibate.
Okay, that's just...
Hung Ju resets $50. Any update on turning Tucker 2 video? Crystal/Deal/Vet/Tucker.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Any update on this thing from a year ago? What are you talking about, dude? Fuck off.
Lofi sent $100.
Any update? Dude, when people ask me for updates, I want to kill you. Like, dude, my cortisol just spiked so hard when you said that. Like, I would have thrown this at the wall if I wasn't a chiller. Any update? Dude, oh my gosh. Kill yourself. Any update? There's nothing I hate more than that. Fuck you, dude. Anyway.
Lofi sent $100.
Hey, thank you for the big super chat.
The DSA sent $20. This new virus could be a potential fabricated demand destruction event on oil.
Okay.
Number 2 Gumbo sent $20. Find a Middle Eastern Christian send African American chick to marry. You get all the Muslim. Sean 61 sent.
Okay, what's going on? What's going on, guys? What is going on here? Okay, now it's really bad. Any update on this thing you talked about in August? The new virus is a psyop. Find a Middle Eastern Christian chick to marry. Like, okay, we're off the rails now. We are off
Sean
the rails.
$61 Tucker was 100% behind this coordinated attack.
Think so?
Same day he attacks you on Megyn Kelly, people say, I'm so glad someone called me and gave me the courage to say this. Thank you for all you do. Ace sent $20. When already at DM. 128
What can I do for you? So you don't want to get in serious trouble, huh?
Ace sent
Okay,
$20.
leave it with me.
Jake Shields. Ian Carroll types heard the movement more than they help IMO. They don't even get the relevant info correct.
Yeah, well, look, Jake hasn't, like, seriously, you know, he dissed me again the other day saying, oh, he's not a leader or whatever. It's like, okay.
Roomstar sent $20. They're playing catch-up. Shavery sent $20. Nick, is it advantageous to signal we need a Republican in 28? It may be an olive branch for the future primary, but it's a given that Dems win in November. Why make voting red in 28 a given? DC 10,169,700 sent $20. Please consider bringing back the gaming and reaction streams on slownewsdays.a. A lot of us don't. Luke Smith 0602 sent $20. Voting blue 26 might actually be your best idea ever, and if people could just think for 2 seconds, you'd get a lot more credit for the strategy. Netanyahu sent $20. The 26-28 voting strategy was articulated well on day 1. TikTok brain has killed people's attention span slack. Enrique Whitner sent $25. Love from Logan for Indiana ordered a shirt from you waiting for it in the mail. Fentanyl is good for you sent $250. Not gonna pretend like I know a lot about politics, but I'll say this much. Kinda tired of the going crashing out about the Jews. Like it's not the Jews' fault you were born with no work ethic and a low IQ. It almost sounds like the blacks complaining about the systemic racism is holding them back. It's slop. Love show. Real recognizes real nigga. Handshake emoji.
I don't know if I go that far, but I appreciate the big super chat. I don't know if I go that far. But I appreciate the huge super chat. Look, the Jewish thing is still an issue. I mean, I get what you're saying, and there's some truth in that.
I'll have Remember sent $20. I swear these people don't fucking listen. Great fucking round piece of shit act at 26.
Hell yeah.
Not about Atari agents sent $20. Your apartment dentist from sarcastically calling you Von Vishnu.
Might be.
AMDGJMJ sent $25. We believe in you, Nick. So much so this Gordon family is voting Democrat for the first time in their lives. Praying for you.
Thank you. W. Groip's
Schizo Gale sent $20. Does Jake know what Congress is yet? Give Bilzerian the Patrick Little treatment when he gets his shit pushed in, by the way. Vortex Slater sent $100. Thanks for the free show.
Hey, thanks for the big super chat.
Free sent $50. Any update on turning Tucker to video? They hate God sent $50. Dan running for Congress. Disavows Nick. Many such cases.
That it just doesn't even make any sense. If you're running for Congress, would you just blow me up for literally no reason? Is that something you'd want to do? You're running for Congress as the anti-Semite. Are you gonna do like you're gonna start shit with me for no reason on the timeline? It'd be one thing if he texted me and said, "Hey, what's going on?" But it's like, no, I'm just gonna put you on blast for no reason. Like, wow, great strategy. No, that makes a ton of sense.
Politically Provoked sent $500.
Yo, thank you for the huge super chat. Politically Provoked. Good to hear from you, man. What's up? It's been a minute. Brittany, don't be a stranger. What's going on? Man, remember Politically Provoked? Those were the days, huh? Thank you very much. I really appreciate the support. Oh, sevens for our girl, Brittany.
Russ will send
Appreciate it.
Have you considered? There are YouTube videos on writing a book using Obsidian notes. You already have a book in your vault.
I don't.
MC Mahan for Mayor sent $20. Carlson is clearly an operative on behalf of the WASP community within intelligence, but what a colossal misread of Vance's talent. He has none.
Okay.
Pro I've sent $20. Thanks for the show. Is it okay to watch any of the outside streamers on Giggle? Should we be boycotting this site and gambling then altogether? Jimbo's is trying to get me to sports scandal. Scum.
We like Jimbo.
Code Catic sent $20. Much love from me and my friends so much right now. We are wondering your thoughts on the hantavirus. Do you think it's going to be another COVID and blown out of proportion? From friends, no.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that will. I think that's, these things just happen from time to time, and everybody always says it's going to be a pandemic. I seriously doubt it.
Vexelo88 sent $20. Stop being such a top 3 Disney movies. Jungle Book, Lion King, Aladdin. Easy.
I never saw Lion King. I don't know. What would my top 3 be?
I never saw the land.
Dude, I can't even think of any. I don't know. I don't really like any of those movies, okay? Those are kids' movies. I'm an adult. I don't really like them. Okay, that's our last super chat. Amazing, man. Amazing super chat. I appreciate the support, but, they're starting to get bad again. I think you can tell. All right, well, that's going to do it for me. Remember to smash the follow button on Rumble, smash the like button, leave a comment. I'm on the air Monday through Friday. As always, thank you to our top super chatters. Big special thank you to Diversity Stole My Bike, Mark, Politically Provoked, Vortex Groiper, Fentanyl is good for you, Edie's Groiper, MXTN, Groipistan, Big Chungus Groiper, Thomas Cruz, Japan Man, Jordan B Videos, Valiant, Cyclic, Zio, Groiper Forever, Truish Question, Mia, Bob, Phylog, and Lofi. Thanks to them. Thanks to all our super chatters, everybody that watches. We love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, have a great rest of your evening.
Yeah, my excited.
It's going to be mostly on American